we're here with our boy Scott for episode 42. Scotty boy. Scotty boy and I are the only 5-1 teams in our fantasy league that you anchor the bottom of.
And
right?
he has the most average QB in Josh Allen.
Oh, yeah.
Hey, Josh Allen is a great quarterback.
Rumor?
But boys, just wanted to say it's a pleasure to be here with you, fine gentlemen. Excited to make my podcast debut. And,
number
second,
one.
though. You made an appearance, earlier.
First live debut.
First live debut.
In the studio, in person.
In the studio, and looking forward to talking some sports.
Well,
The
an
lights are
official friend of the
blinding.
pod. The lights are blinding.
Yeah, you're gonna kick off this series though. We're gonna do a friends of the pod, like start doing that. So just like more like have a friend of a pod on like every month and some reoccurring.
Yeah, so you actually committed to a lot of episodes.
Yeah,
Awesome.
You didn't
I'm
go
in
for
for
so
it.
at least like once every 6 months.
Anytime you guys want me, I'll be here.
Dude, I love
appreciate
that.
it.
we love it.
Because there's another task. What were you about to ask? What episode?
Yeah, but go ahead. Just,
42, which was my number in high school.
Jackie
Football.
Robinson
Fun
was
fact.
42.
Yeah. Also me. Just throwing that out there. Anyway, big hockey guy, which is the other tall task for you.
Ooh,
You are.
yes.
I'm
You're
trying
a
to get into
hockey
hockey.
guy.
Yeah.
We'll get into this later because we got a segment that you're leading us about hockey. But are you ready to inspire me?
I am. Hockey's in full effect, full force. Ready to talk some hockey with y'all.
I'm actually supposed to go to my first hockey game this year.
Yeah? What game?
The Caps game.
Who
It's
are
supposed
they
to be
playing?
later. I don't know. It's supposed to be later in the year. It's with a vendor. They got like a suite for a couple games, and I was like, completely signed
a
me
suite.
up. Yeah. So
Nice.
hopefully we'll see a Caps game.
Yeah.
Can't hide money.
Hopefully it's a good game.
Oh, it's not my money. It's not my
It's
money.
Ben X's money right here.
Tough start for the Caps. But
Yeah, tough start. Tough start. We got
Well,
a great episode, though.
Yeah, we do. We've got coming up on this episode. We're going to get into a lot of football.
Yeah,
a lot
which
of
you're
NFL
holding
Week
one.
6, holding a football, a little fidget toy. We got some debate topics along with it. We're going to save those. Well, actually, if you're watching the video, you're going to see them on the side. But if you're listening, you're going to find out later. MLB postseason.
Yep.
And then Scott, like I said, is getting us into hockey.
Chell update.
Chell update.
And I'm interested in your
do
opinion.
you like? What do you think about him calling it Chell?
I love it.
Yeah.
I know you're not big on it, but I also call it Chell. Yeah. So,
I got it from Scott.
Now I love it.
I call the video game Chell. I don't say it about hockey in general,
Okay.
but I think that's kind of where Christian got it from.
Yeah, it is.
So we got it from you. So now I
But
actually
I
like
like
it.
the term Chell.
Yeah.
I'm a big fan
It's
of it
fun to
now. Big
say.
Chell guy.
Chell.
Yeah, it's so fun. Like, yeah, I'm playing Chell.
Oh, I'm just thinking, I'm thinking about the rundown, the week rundown. And for all you sick freaks out there that love people's misery, you're just going to have a wonderful time listening to me recap my week.
I'm going to have a wonderful time.
Because you're one of the sick freaks out there.
Yeah.
Oh, the best part of my sports week in general was that I had the worst golf round that I've had in years and stopped keeping score after 11 holes. That's the best part of my week.
Where'd you play?
Willow. Just
Okay.
great time.
Sounds like my
I'm going to figure out how to take lessons.
sounds like
soon.
my typical round.
Typical round. It was a good time. I was hitting it right, left, short,
some Army
long.
golf. Left, right.
But anyway, so then I empathize a lot with you because I was hard on the Bruins. I was like, I think they're going to lose in the playoffs. And then Team of Destiny, Braves,
Lost.
Oh, yeah. Oh,
go down to your stupid Phillies.
Dude,
which is
how good did Bryce Harper look, though? We have to. I mean,
he's reaching Voldemort status, where he's like the name that we can't mention on this podcast, except for you're just obsessed with him.
He's
so
my favorite. He's my favorite player.
It's miserable. So then the start of the week, the team that I loved and watched almost every game or followed every game loses to this bandwagon guys team, which was tough. Then I think it's getting a little bit better. At a wedding, trying to follow the South Carolina-Florida game. They're up. South Carolina's up 10 points with 5 minutes left and decides to blow it. Then I realized now I'm an official 49ers fan because I was miserable when they lost. I was like, that's the sign that you're a fan now, when it ruins your weekend. Like, you don't know on the mountaintop that you're a fan. But when the valley comes, even if it's just a loss and you're miserable, that's how you know you're an official fan. But then, we'll get into that game later. So it was just hit after hit after hit, miserable week.
And you lost to me in picks.
And I lost to you in picks. Won one of the 2 games in fantasy, or one of the 2 leagues.
I think that's why you were so sad about the 49ers. Is because you had 2 picks on a 49ers game. You had
And the field goal would have hit the over.
It would have.
Either one of the field goals.
You had the over and you had the 49ers covering the spread. And both of them
Oh, man. It definitely added
didn't
to
hit,
it.
baby.
yeah. It's
Not to
definitely tough to hit on the spread and the over-under.
Yeah.
Yeah. But he's a 49ers fan. So,
There you go.
Yeah, and then my classmate goes down. C-Mac goes down.
yeah.
We'll get into that. But then the worst part about South Carolina, so the defense is just gone this year. It's miserable. They score, and then we can't run the ball all year. And then we try to churn out the clock and start playing and not lose. So immediately give the ball right back to them where they drive down and score. And then it's just like...
Spencer Rattler's been playing pretty well, though.
Yeah, he has like his picks, if you look at his stat line, have really come in situations where he has to just sling it for the most part. So it's like a little bit misleading. Like I think he's playing even better in his stat line. But
I love when we do an intro and you're upset.
Yeah, because you're one of the sick freaks.
Sick pup. Got to put him down.
Yeah. I can't wait.
I'm sad now talking about it. Like, I don't know if you've seen my demeanor change.
Oh, yeah.
I'm thinking about it.
Sometimes me and Joe will text during games, and if I say something like Bryce Harper's the best, he just ignores me.
Well, that's the worst part. You invited yourself over to watch the game at my house. And immediately, I was like, yeah, but fine, you can't say anything. First batter's Acuna up, and you're like, dude, Acuna hasn't done anything this series. Why hasn't he done anything? I'm like, I know, Christian, stop talking to me.
Look, man, when the lights shine the brightest, who comes out? You know, who comes out?
It's a broken system. We'll get into that, though.
Whole other conversation.
I hate this. Anyway, talk about teams not trying to lose or trying to not lose and then losing because that's what they're trying not to do.
Yeah, I'm so sick of in the NFL. Like, for example, the 49ers, right? And I get you're saying it's 41 yards, he should make it. But this is a rookie kicker, right? Which is drafted, the highest a kicker's ever been drafted, right? Third round. And it's raining. And so, it's raining. You have a rookie kicker, game on the line, undefeated season. And instead of, trying to get 10, 15 more yards, make it easy on the kid, you just stuff in the line twice, right? And then it's a 41-yard field goal, and he blocks it right. Playing not to lose.
Yeah, I mean, I will say it was interesting in the game, Shanahan, where he was, aggressive the time before where he should have just run the ball. And then, actually, I want to save getting into that game for when we're talking about NFL.
Okay.
But it's ridiculous.
Well, I was actually talking about that on Sunday night when I was like, well, the Jets are just going to come back and kick a field goal, right? But Jalen Hurts also threw a pick. So there's only so much you can do. And by the way, it was third down when he threw the pick, and they just rushed in the line both times. 3rd and 10, he has to try to make something happen and win the game. And it's like, why don't you just do your normal game plan and get a first down, and then the game's freaking over? Play to win. Don't play to stuff in the line twice, 3rd and 10, and it gets a good Jets defense.
It's just kind of ridiculous when what if you look at what it took to win all game, it was being aggressive, and then it was, or not even fully aggressive. It was just your play style that was winning. Then all of a sudden you're like, well, I've got the lead. Let's flip it. It happens a little bit on defenses in 2-minute drill where they're just
they just play
super
prevent,
no press at all, and then they're just giving up 10, 15 yards at a time.
Every time.
Chunk of yards, so on. It's just
how many times have you seen that though through the NFL where it's they have a minute left, no timeouts, and they just need a field goal, and the defense is playing to get the other end zone, and you're like, what are we doing here? And then they kick a field goal and game's over.
I get that the offense is a little bit different. Everyone practices their 2 minutes. They've got their rehearsed plays, and I get that it's going to be a little bit more effective. But the whole flip of scheme is...
But sometimes you go through these 2-minute drills and people have 10 yards of space. It's not even close.
That's what I don't get.
Yeah. So I say if you play to lose,
you deserve to lose.
Goodell should just come down and say loss.
It's what we talked about with Texas and Oklahoma.
Oh, another great example.
It just doesn't work out well.
No.
In this analytic world, I'd love to see the stats on that.
Yeah, it's probably kind of like the analytics. Joe's, what is it, 88% chance he makes that field goal?
Yeah.
Analytic wise, in a normal NFL game, but you take into consideration rookie kicker, all the pressure situation and in the rain, I think that goes below 50 if you take those three into consideration.
I don't know if below, but even let's just say 50. Yeah. If it is 50, do you think you can get 7 yards if that bumps it up to 75%?
Oh, you know I think if they would have got another first down and made a 31-yarder, I think it goes up to 90 plus. I don't think every once in a while a kicker will miss a 30-yarder, but
that's what's interesting, trying to figure out. But I guess we'll get in. Yeah. We keep wanting to go there. So before that,
I do want to
Iceman,
go there.
Inspire us because I'm feeling miserable now.
What's up, everybody? This week's Unsung Hero comes to us again from the club, Michigan. It's where the stories are, and so I'm going to grab them, all right? We're talking about, in particular, a 15-year-old sophomore defensive tackle named Eric Kilburn Jr. Eric is your typical sophomore in high school trying to do all the normal things, except one little tiny detail. Eric is 6'10" and wears a size 23 tennis shoe.
Wow.
Yeah, it's a big old boy. Eric has been a defensive tackle for his football team, and he's, and I quote, looking into basketball, but your coach is coming for you. But Eric ran into something kind of unique in the fact that he wears a size 23 shoe. Yeah, the average Joe wears a 10.5. But the truth of the matter is that once you get to a certain size, you have to get them custom made. You have to go to a special orthotics place that measures out your foot, might even take a mold, and then they'll make you your shoes. Well, for the average bear, that's $1,500 a pair. And so next time you think your Jordans cost too much, remember that. But so Eric's mom goes through all the checks she can, but realizes, hey, money's going to be tight. So we need to start a GoFundMe. Well, two people found the GoFundMe. One, the Today Show, who put it out on their social media, put it out on their show. And two, the important one, Shaquille O'Neal.
I knew it.
Shaquille O'Neal is this week's unsung hero because of what he does next.
What a stud.
He reaches out to Eric Shackley in the comments of his Instagram post and says, I got you. And so Shaq sends him 5 custom pairs that he had made for himself, but he wears a size 22. And so the 22s are a little small. To which Shaq goes, hey, but don't worry, I'm going to hook you up with a custom person to send you to, take care of it all. And Under Armour and Puma at that point go, hey, we got you too. We'll get you some custom cleats and shoes as well. So Under Armour and Puma jump in and start getting it together. Well, all during this time, the GoFundMe starts gathering more and more traction to the point that they raise a little bit over $25,000. And Eric's family gets to use this money now to help take care of custom clothing, custom shoes, and all the other customizable sports gear that Eric's going to need as a 6'10 athlete and high schooler. So just another reminder, there's good people out there wanting to help each other. Shaq remembers when he was growing up with a massive foot and trying to find a pair of shoes just to play a little ball. And now he gets to pay it forward to Eric and his family. So here's to you, Big Diesel, Shaquille O'Neal, Superman. You're this week's unsung hero.
Yeah. Well done.
That's awesome.
Well done.
That just tugs on the heartstrings.
That got me
there.
fired up, right?
I mean,
I will say I never thought before right now about people that just have skis for
it's like
feet.
the size of like a baby alligator. Like, think about it. It's like, what do you what's,
Well, if mine's a 12 and it's like almost double this, right?
I think it's this.
But like, I think it's like this size.
Those big clown shoes.
Yeah, it was like the size of the fish that I caught. But
Yeah. But
But
have you
like,
ever seen an alligator?
I've
They're
never
like 6
thought
months
about
old.
one. Somewhere between, actually, no, it's not quite 6 months old. It's like somewhere between like 3.5 and 4.5 months old. But I never
If
thought
it's a
about.
Floridian gator.
I never thought about how tough it would actually be if you just had like a big foot like that.
Yeah.
It's not like you go to Ross and you find a bunch there. $1,500.
You know what they say about big shoes?
Big socks.
Big socks. You must have to get some comfort some custom made socks here.
Maybe they took a t-shirt, sew up the like the neck hole gets sewed up. They actually tie with the sleeves to keep it on. Yeah, something
He
like
buys
that.
children small clothes and they're like, sir, what are you doing with this? He's like, oh, these are my socks. All right,
Or you just
man.
buy it for material, custom make them.
That's nuts though. I wish I
Yeah.
had a bigger foot. I got a smaller one.
Nice. NFL Week 6. Started off Thursday night.
Oh, wow.
Let's run through some games. We don't have to go through all of them, but
Can the Chiefs look good for once?
one touchdown in that game was
Yeah.
wild. A lot of field goals.
Yeah, I mean, they have not looked like the Chiefs. I mean, no team like 49ers look pretty good, but the Eagles and Chiefs both have not looked like themselves of last year yet.
I mean, it was an ugly looking game. The Chiefs were in the red zone so much to score one touchdown. That was the part that got me the most.
Mm-hmm.
I think Patrick Mahomes ended up with 300 yards passing with this one touchdown.
Mm-hmm.
That's
Well, the Broncos have the best, defense in football. So
oh yeah. Mm-hmm. That's
Broncos
what rumor
stink.
has it.
yeah.
Rumor
Poor
has
Andrew.
Poor Andrew.
God.
Is he a
They
Broncos guy?
stink.
Yeah, he's a big Broncos dude.
But I mean, I feel like the Chiefs try to get too creative sometimes in the red zone,
Yeah, no, that's fair.
where they like unleash Dancy
Yeah.
Patrick Mahomes to run around and like do
But
circles.
if
And, like,
anyone
it works.
if anyone can do it, it's Patrick Mahomes. But
Yeah.
I just don't know if they need to do it sometimes.
right.
No, just play normal football. Like he's a great athlete.
Yeah.
Sometimes they have the running back be a horse and Patrick Mahomes hops on the horse and then throws the ball. And it's some interesting things they do.
I hate to say it, but they're almost looking like the Cowboys in the red zone this year. Just throwing that out there. Let people get mad at me. Then move on to the London game. And
You love London games.
I love London games. They're ridiculous. This one was incredibly boring.
Yeah.
It was one, the Ravens don't know how to finish a game and be a good team that
Correct.
way. Two, what were the Titans doing like the entire first half?
You barely even could remember them.
Ridiculous. Third point that I would say with all of it is I get that we're in a soccer stadium, but like, are we just trying to kick field goals to make them happy?
Yeah.
Just field.
Well, football,
The
fans
out there love the field goals.
Roger Goodell's like radioing in is like, we're trying to build an audience over here across the pond. So like, can you kick a little bit more field goals?
More feet action. He's a big foot guy.
Dude, he's got a thing for feet.
Yeah.
So I thought this was interesting. I was like, there's got to be a lot of field goals. So I just looked it up, and there were 73 field goals this weekend, or like from Thursday to Monday.
Okay. Wow.
What's
a normal?
I think an average is like 55.
Wow.
There were a ton of field goals.
Right?
And a couple missed ones.
And a lot of missed ones, so then making this is before Monday's game. We're recording Tuesday night, but I looked this up before. In fantasy, kickers averaged 8.2 points, and starting quarterbacks averaged 11.3.
Wow.
That's incredible.
13 kickers outscored their starting quarterbacks.
That's actually nuts.
I believe it though.
Yeah.
I had Harrison Butker.
Same. I had Harrison Butker and Patrick Mahomes on a team, and Patrick Mahomes didn't play bad. Like, he was one of the top, probably like
15 points,
6
right?
quarterbacks, 17 and change.
17, okay.
And Harrison Butker got 18, right?
Yeah,
I think so, yeah.
18.
Wow. So it
wild.
That's
begs
crazy.
the question, are field goal kickers underrated? Right?
Call in, Iceman.
Underpaid,
underrated. I mean, they should be like number 1 overall pick. The Carolina Panthers select.
Honestly, the Panthers, if anyone, should select a kicker.
The Panthers would select a kicker in the first round.
Well, what if this was all a setup and Iceman just walks through the door right now and sat down? He's like, let's go, kickers.
Yeah. Or the other side of the argument, should kicking be banned? Should it just be like all 4 downs? Like, good luck.
no field goals,
No field goals.
extra points.
No extra points.
What's the guy from Curb Your Enthusiasm? Like the older dude. Do you know what I'm talking about? I saw like a video of him on TikTok where he's like, kicking is ridiculous. They should just have like frogs leaping to decide games at that point. Like, let's find someone who has a completely different skill than the rest of the football, and we're deciding games with that.
That's actually pretty funny how it came to fruition. Like, think about it. Like, there's like, all right, we're going to score in this touchdown, and then if we don't get there, though, can someone kick this thing?
Let's get some points on the board at least.
Either that, or they were like, we call it football. Everyone's like, soccer should be called football in America because they kick it, so we got to start kicking. That's the only other explanation.
And they put a U in there in soccer, which is
football.
It's just weird. Like, anytime you use a U,
do they spell foot F-U-T over there?
Good question. I know they spell fish and chips the normal way.
Of course you know.
Nice. But it's not even chips. It's French fries. It's ridiculous.
Yeah, it's unbelievable. What's going on?
What's
Hamburgers from Germany. I mean, from Hamburg.
Some bratwurst.
Yeah.
Side note, funny story. I had like a 1-day layover in Frankfurt, Germany, and I was with a buddy that was we were with like these locals that we met, just hung out with them all day, and probably for 8 hours, not even kidding. He's like, so do you know where I can get like some good bratwurst or anything? They're like, no. They don't knew English, but not super well. At the end of the day, we were like sitting down, and he's like, so no place to get bratwurst? And they're like, oh, bratwurst.
That's great.
I was like, oh, wow. That different. But he had to have
That
asked.
was such a good accent, actually, Loki. That was actually, are you German?
Maybe.
Wow,
maybe
that's good
partially.
stuff.
I'm not kidding, though. I think he asked at least 15 times before.
Does
I don't
it
know if they
make
just didn't
that
hear.
big of a difference over
Maybe
there?
they it was in conversation they didn't pick up, but I was like, what? It was
I mean,
good,
that's
though.
kind of like someone saying something weird in, in American terms, like shoe. If someone goes show as, you're like, show as? When if someone comes up, I need show as.
It'd be like someone saying football instead of
Show
football.
as?
Yeah,
What do you mean show as? Oh, it's like, oh, shoes.
I guess. Yeah.
Well,
Anyway.
other upsetting things, all the upsets.
Yeah.
Browns going down to the 49ers going down to the Browns 19-17. This is what I was saving earlier in the intro. What makes me extra upset on top of everything with this was Brock Purdy did not play well. Worst game, and obviously it's a regular season start. First regular season start that he lost. But he drove down the field. Like, he did what needed to be done to set his team up, step up in the moment to kick a field goal. He did the exact same thing whether the field goal was made or missed. But like, if it was made, everyone would be like, yeah, Brock Purdy, he stepped up when he needed to. Didn't play a great game. But because he missed it, you know what I mean? Like, that just kind of sucks.
Well, it also adds, like, that big statistic they always do in the fourth quarter? It's like game-winning drives for QBs. A lot of that, like Peyton Manning, for example, has so many because Adam Vinatieri would make like 100-yard field goals.
Yeah.
Right? He would just have to complete one pass. And it's like, there you go.
Yeah.
But
And this was a game-winning drive.
Yeah.
Like,
and that doesn't go down, And that kind of hurts the QB stats because he's like, whatever.
Also, just tough game in general. Like in the rain against the Browns defense, fun fact, they've been averaging 200 yards a game that they've allowed. That's insane.
Total?
Well, 1,000 for the season through 5 games.
No, I'm saying like passing.
Passing, rushing.
Yeah.
Insane.
Wow.
Wow. Then so like in the rain against a great defense, Trent Williams goes down early, comes back, but like he's not feeling good. And then losing Debo and CMC. So like all in all, a tough game and just still be in position to potentially win at the end.
Should have won at the end. Yeah, I agree. I just think if they would have completed a couple more passes, chipped a 30-yard in.
Yeah.
But woulda, coulda, shoulda, right? That's why I'm not coaching the 49ers.
I'm saying right now, not the end of the world. It felt like the end of the world on Sunday after everything had gone wrong.
I'm going to be a little dramatic here, though. I think the Eagles, it could be not the end of the world, but Hurts, did not look good. I forgot the stat. When they blitz more than 40% of the time, Hurts has a losing record in the NFL when the team does.
Wow.
When they don't, he's like 25-5 or like something like that. But I think teams are slowly but surely figuring out like, hey, if we blitz Hurts, like some things, like he made some decisions. I'm like, what are we doing here?
I mean, like, I think this was his last year's season total in interceptions. Is that right? Do you know
He's got seven already.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
He's got 7 TDs and 7 picks, by the way.
Excluding rushing, though.
He has 5 rushing TDs, so it's 12 total, which is still less than I'll go on a quarterback rant later, than our boy Kirk Cousins. But, yeah.
You mean Kirk Chains?
Yeah. Well, I mean, I don't know, man. The Eagles make me nervous. They also lost, obviously, a couple people in the offseason on the defense.
Yes.
But they also, in that game, were missing Darius Slay, and they were missing Jalen Carter, which are 2 of their top defensive weapons. So
and their left tackle.
Right.
Or was it right tackle? One of the tackles.
So I'm not sounding off on the Eagles, but the only thing that makes me nervous about the game is the way Hurts performed. Does that make sense?
Yeah. Question for Scott. Is he looking for a new team now?
Me?
No, Christian.
Oh, Christian?
You think he's looking for a new NFL team at this point?
Looking for an out?
Yeah, like I think he might be a Browns fan now.
Cowboys look good. I mean,
no, I'm just messing.
Yeah.
No.
You watched the Jets Eagles game?
I did. Yep. Eagles looked awful. I mean, losing to Zach Wilson. I mean, Zach Wilson has looked a lot better the last couple weeks.
Yes, that's true.
But yeah, I was definitely on the Eagles this weekend. That one hurt.
Yeah, I had the Eagles -7.
Yeah,
and then it didn't happen.
Yeah, Eagles don't look great.
Well, also the tough part is the Eagles defense didn't force 1 turnover, which against the Jets and Zach Wilson, like you got to at least either whether it's a fumble or pick, like, which also makes, kind of makes me nervous about the Eagles defense.
Eagles defense this year is what I'd be more nervous about.
Correct.
Because Jets have a great defense. Like,
they do.
Let's be honest, too.
Also the Browns. I think the Jets and the Browns and the 49ers make up the top 3.
I think the Browns are probably the best defense. Jets, though, we're forgetting that with Aaron Rodgers, they're an incredible team. It's just a substitution of Zach Wilson for Aaron Rodgers. And so, like, one, they're cursed, so that sucks for them. But outside of that, like,
I don't know, man. I'm
No, I mean they're still cursed.
They've had a couple good balances. What if they're like 6-6?
What if they're a playoff team?
And Aaron Rodgers comes back and they're like 6-6?
He was throwing the ball, right?
Dude, he was throwing the ball last week.
Yeah, well, there's rumors that he's going to be back for playoffs if they make it.
That's crazy. Wow. That's what I mean. He's saying that he's coming back. I don't know.
I think he could be back. This is crazy. I think he could be back earlier. I think he could be back if it's close, like the last 2 or 3 games this season.
Dang.
I think he's coming. Because the same procedure he got is one a lot of soccer stars get, like football stars get across overseas. And apparently their timetable is 6 months.
Wow.
Some less, which is nuts.
That's kind of crazy.
Yeah. I mean, 6 months, that would put you in January?
Yeah. So put you in playoffs. Yeah. But if he's on football already and they're close, say they're 6-6.
Yeah.
Or really 7-6, 7-7. That might be it. 7-7. You bring them back.
Yeah.
Switching back to the game itself, when the Jets scored their touchdown, the commentators were talking about how the Jets should have gone down because the Eagles were letting them score. And it's like the Eagles, you got to let them score at that point. You have nothing else you can do. The Jets, though, you haven't scored all game a touchdown. What makes you think then that you can start churning the clock? I'm at that point, I think you got to take the touchdown, right?
No. Absolutely not. I thought that was by far the wrong call. And the reason is like in a normal world, I really believe Jalen Hurts would have come back, right? And scored a touchdown there. But if if you can kneel it or you can run it in and they have like 40 seconds with no timeouts to go the whole field to kick a field goal, I would almost rather have that than give Hurts 2 minutes and 2 timeouts.
But it's like, who do you trust more as the Jets right now? I think that's where it's like your defense has been shut down. They've gotten 3 turnovers. They've been like putting you time and time again in the red zone, and the offense hasn't been able to score at that point.
I mean, if I'm playing Madden, I'm scoring based on stats.
Right. Well, I'm like, if I was a defense, I'd be like, bro, we've got you. Like, you get in the end zone. I don't know. Maybe like statistically for other teams, I get what you're saying. Like you go down, turn more clock. But I'm like, for the Jets, I feel like you.
Yeah, but you could also make that argument on the other side where it's like if you have 40 seconds and they have to go 40 yards, right, with no timeouts, like you can also make that argument,
I can
right?
see that.
Yeah.
Where it's like, yes, they have a great defense, but also they have a great defense. So like run the clock out as much as possible and then give them as little time as possible.
But then what if you like miss a couple times, then you're kicking a field goal and you miss the field goal?
Yeah, well, it's at a 41-yarder. So I think they're...
I don't know.
No,
you're acting like it's a 60-something yarder for a kicker.
But they were like on the 8. It would have been less than an extra point. I feel pretty confident a 25-yarder.
Yeah. I mean, extra points aren't given anymore, which is interesting.
No, but it's 10 yards closer than an extra point that would have been.
Yeah. All right, quick hit, some other games. Dolphins, Panthers. I thought this was Bryce Young's best quarter, first quarter so far.
By far. Also,
the Dolphins, they're like down. Because Carolina went up 14-0.
14-0
And they're like, yeah, we're good. We're still going to cover this ridiculous spread.
I hammered the Dolphins when they went down 14-0.
Did you?
Oh, yeah.
Money line?
Spread. Minus, I think I got a 6.5, minus 6.5.
Uh-huh.
I mean, they won by, 21?
Yeah. Wow.
But that's the point. It's like they're going to.
Yeah, I wasn't worried at all.
Well,
nor should you have been.
On the bright side, as a Panthers fan, the offensive coordinator, and I'm blanking on his name right now for the Panthers, but it's going to call the plays from now on.
I saw instead of Frank Reich.
Instead of Frank Reich, which thank God, dude. I hate Frank Reich he seems like a good guy. I just think for the Panthers organization, he's the most average head coach you could possibly have.
Plus, you wanted Steve Wilkes.
I wanted Steve Wilkes, and I think the owner's way too involved. So there's too many hands that aren't good, like in the pie. So like our offense coordinator, I think, is 34. And he's like one of the most up and coming, prominent young coaches in the NFL. I'm like, please. So anyway, they're gonna give it. They have a bye this week, and then they're gonna give him the reins.
Good time to give the reins.
Bengals was key, man. Beating the Seahawks, that was a pivotal game.
Yeah,
that was a big game for them.
Yeah, it was.
They had a great first. It was quarter right when they scored most, and then it was average, but still they got the job done. Seahawks are good. Like they're a good team.
I think so too.
Texans though beating the Saints 20-13. We'll get into this in power rankings, but I was talking about how the Texans were garbage earlier this year, and I'm wrong. DeMeco Ryan, I loved him at the 49ers as a defensive coordinator. He's a great coach.
Yeah.
They've got a lot of weapons. They're not like a top-tier team by any means, but, I mean, who knows? Maybe they'll shock the world and make the playoffs.
Yeah. You know? In the Saints, they are awful in the red zone. They are so bad in the red zone. I mean, the amount of times they were in the red zone and just couldn't get anything was unbelievable. I was on the Saints that game. That one hurt.
Sounds like this weekend hurt for you too.
Yeah, it was a tough weekend.
At least you won the Dolphins bet.
Yeah, well, it was yeah. Well, I had the Dolphins in all my parlays.
Okay.
But they all lost.
Okay.
So.
Oh, I had one that I felt so good about. It had David Montgomery scoring a touchdown though. Everything else hit.
I had a parlay. It was like $50, 5 legs. One of the legs was David Montgomery, anytime touchdown.
Yeah.
Only leg that didn't hit. He got injured in the...
Would that have paid out?
$1,000. He gets injured in what, the first or second quarter?
It was early.
It was early.
And I felt like he was a lock to score.
I immediately messaged the sportsbook. I was like, hey, are you guys going to void this bet? They're like, no, according to our rules, he played. That's
like, as long as he plays one snap.
I was like, no. Yeah, only leg that one of the legs in it was Cooper Kupp first touchdown, which he got.
You went first touchdown.
First touchdown, and the other ones were
those scare me.
Yeah, the toughest leg was that Cooper Kupp first touchdown, and which it hit, and I was like, this is alive. This is so alive. Everything else was just like money lines, and they all hit. And my last leg was David Montgomery first touchdown, or not first touchdown, anytime touchdown. And then my brother texted me and he was like, David Montgomery just got hurt.
Oh, that's hard, dude. $1,000.
Yeah, he was
off a $50 bet.
In my other league, he was like my only shot to help me win.
Yeah,
too.
I've got him in 2 of my fantasy leagues too. So that was just
brutal.
a kick.
Oh my gosh. Can we officially start saying like the Lions are an actual contender?
Oh yeah, dude. So they passed the 49ers since the 49ers didn't hit the field goal and get 20 points. They now have the longest streak of teams to score at least 20 points, and their defense have been holding people under 20, which that's a win.
Yeah, and they're going against the league leading Baker Mayfield.
I don't know if you know this about the Bucs, but they're amazing, especially in the creamsicle.
Yeah, that was actually. I don't hate it. I like some funky uniforms, but
someone said this, and I thought this was like spot on. I personally don't like it because I don't like orange teams, but people would be like, if that was their day-to-day, like normal uniform, they would be the ugliest things ever. But because they're the alternate, you're like, you know what? They're kind of cool.
Yeah, I kind of liked them.
You like trick yourself into it.
Right.
I don't know if anyone's done that with the Steelers yet with their like, do you like those?
No.
Oh yeah, dude, they're terrible. They're so, Christian probably likes them.
I like them, yeah. Yeah, I like crazy, just like weird alternates.
Fair enough.
I like the Braves
The
alternates.
Giants jerseys look good this weekend.
I don't
Did you
know.
watch that game?
I did like that. The Giants, yeah.
The Giants look good.
I like the Giants on the helmet instead of the NY.
I
think
that
that's
too.
tight.
Yeah, I think it looks a lot better.
I think that should just be like the normal one.
Speaking of Giants, they lost, huh?
Yeah.
But not by much.
No.
Two interesting things about the Bills. Well,
They're
especially
a
in that
weird
game.
team.
You can almost tell. I think I heard someone, maybe it was on PNT, they were talking about it. It's like when the Bills show up, like the first quarter Bills are going to be very indicative of how they're going to play the rest of the game. It's like 100%. You shouldn't make a prediction ahead of time until you see how they show up. Because the London game, obviously they came out flat, which you know how I feel about that. Then this game, I think Dayball, that's the other thing, just had their number because he was the OC, like he understood them, understood Josh Allen. Yeah. They're way better with Barkley.
Yes.
He didn't look very injured out there.
Yeah, which is good because I traded for him in our league.
Oh, yeah? Nice.
Still hopeless.
Yeah. Well, hey, I won 2-4.
I think you were the one that beat me too.
Yeah, because that was the week that I had like 210 or something.
Yeah, that's when what's his name on the Dolphins?
Mostert.
A-Chain.
Yeah, I don't have A-Chain in this lane though. Because Mostert had like 45. Devontae Adams had like 40.
Yep.
Then there was one other player I had that had a ton of points that game. I can't remember who that one was.
I didn't have a bad week. You just absolutely crushed me. You had like the best week.
The week that I lost, though, I scored, I think, maybe 70 points.
And that was the week after you put up 200 on me, right?
Yeah. Love how that goes. But if it makes you feel better in the other league, that's what happened to me. I lost to one of my best friends because I had the second highest score and still just lost to him that week. I was like, that's
tough.
Yeah, it's tough. Then the Monday night game, Cowboys beat the Chargers. I wanted them to lose so I could drop them out of the top 10. But Stephon Gilmore, South Carolina boy, getting the pick. That was huge.
Yeah.
To end the game.
Well, I mean, Dak actually played pretty well. I mean, obviously it was a pretty good game, winning OT. But I hate that the Cowboys pulled out the victory.
Yeah.
You know?
I will say, though, I like Dak Prescott as just like, it was Walter Payton Man of the Year, like solid dude. I think that there's certain people, and I know that we're about to talk about quarterbacks and you're going to get into it on Kirk Cousins, so I'll save it on him. But there are certain people that people just love to hate. Josh Allen's a little bit that way. Like everyone's like, oh, Josh Allen's overrated. It's just like a fun take to have. I think Dak Prescott being garbage and the reason the Cowboys suck is another one of those. Like he's not that bad. He started running. I was saying that a couple weeks ago. Like if he runs a little bit more, I think that's going to open 100%. Up the offense a lot more.
I think people just like to hate him because everybody is a Cowboys fan. My girlfriend's a Cowboys fan. And I was talking to her about it today. She was naming off all her friends all her like girlfriends that are Cowboys fans. I was like, why are all of you Cowboys fans? And she was like, oh, we all have ties to Dallas. I was like, no, you don't.
Well, we're in America.
None of you do.
And Dallas is actually Texas wants to be their own country, so that doesn't even work.
Yeah, they really do.
Cowboys are easy to hate. Also,
Jerry Jones, that was easier.
Correct. Jerry Jones, very easy to hate. I mean, and plus, like, Dak, and kind of we were talking about this the other day, or the other pod, was like, for a 4th round draft pick, he's been a heck of a quarterback. Like, seriously, for being drafted 130th overall whenever he's drafted, like, He's been a heck of an option. So it's tough to hate him with so much. I do think he gets unnecessary hate, but on that side, the numbers do speak for like when the lights are shining bright, what happens. But I think that's a lot to do with play calling too, and who's calling the plays and different stuff. But anyway, should I talk about quarterbacks now?
I think you
this
should.
Gets me a little fired up.
Your little Christian's quarterback corner.
I wrote a couple things down, right?
Yeah.
Here's what I want to talk about.
Actually, I don't know. I just said, yeah. I have no idea if you wrote anything down.
I'm going to start off with Kirk Cousins. You have to here, right? We talk about him a lot. He gets too much hate for no reason. My guy right now is second in the league in passing yards, behind only Tua through 6 weeks. He has 14 TDs and 4 picks. He's better than Tua. Tua has 5 picks and 14 TDs. So quote unquote more efficient than Tua. And everyone, once again, thinks Kirk Cousins will not lead the Vikings anywhere. And there's definitely some things to be said with like, when the lights shine brighter, what's going on? Once again, is it Kurt? Is it the play caller? Is it, who knows? But my guy in the regular season is a Hall of Fame QB. Someone's got to say it, right? In the regular season, Kirk Cousins is a Hall of Fame quarterback.
People talk about him like he's a liability, and he's easily a top 10 quarterback.
Easily. Every year.
Which is the weirdest misconception about.
100%.
I would argue, I don't know if there's any other player that has quite as large of a misconception as he does.
That's a good point. Since he's been in the league pretty much, he's been a top 10 QB.
It wasn't great with the Commanders.
No, that was...
But you liked that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But dude, he went to the Vikings and became like literally a top 5 QB in the league.
We'll see if that drops with Justin Jefferson.
Yeah, good point.
I was thinking that though, even because he was out last week, right? Or left in it.
He was out last week.
He got injured last week.
Then this week.
No, he was out last week. He got injured 2 weeks ago. Because
that's what I meant. Yeah.
Yeah. So he was out last week. Yeah, and they still won.
Is productive with that.
Yeah.
Or was productive with that. So number one, Kirk Cousins, because I think he's a good dude. And I think Kirk Cousins needs more recognition. Number 2, so I like kind of like, last week or when we started 2 weeks ago or whatever, I like to do 2 positives and a negative. So I'm going to go middle negative here.
Okay.
I'm going to go Jalen Hurts, man. Jalen Hurts is having a very average quarterback season so far. Now, it's only 6 weeks in, right? It's only 6 weeks in. But with 7 passing TDs, 7 picks, yes, he has 5 rushing TDs, which I think 3 of those have come from the tush push, which is great. But he's having a very average quarterback season so far. Now, he could pick it up at, I hope he picks it up as a huge Eagles fan, right? I hope he picks it up towards the end of the year. But there's an interesting argument. Dak Prescott's arguably played better than Jalen Hurts through the 6 games this year.
I struggle with that.
Yeah?
Because, this is more in my rant, and this is your rant, so I shouldn't upstage your rant with my rant. But, the job of a quarterback, it's almost a verb that's used. Are you going to quarterback? Are you going to facilitate? Are you going to make sure that's what's happening is supposed to happen? People use that as a knock, like we talked about against Brock Purdy. It's he's just managing the game well and using the people around him. It's that's what a good quarterback is then. I know we're talking about Bill Belichick and Andy Reid. It's it shouldn't be on a knock on a coach of who the player was. A coach is supposed to use the people around him and get the most out of them.
Yeah.
And so what I would say with Jalen Hurts is this was a bad game against the Jets, but the rest of the year, he hasn't been a liability. He hasn't put up crazy numbers, but he's been making the Eagles win. And so it's kind of hard to call that average. You know?
They're 5-1. I wouldn't call him average.
Yeah.
I definitely think he's playing maybe not to his full potential.
Yeah.
But he's playing well. He's getting them wins.
Yeah. To me, him and Patrick Mahomes are having very comparable years.
Agreed.
I know you can look at different numbers and slice and dice it that way, but I don't know. I get what he had a bad game. I'll give you that.
He did have a bad game. And also Patrick Mahomes not having a great season.
Yeah.
No.
But still, I wouldn't call it average.
But I would say comparative to especially last season, right? Last season, he was MVP form. No doubt, right? No doubt about it. He was MVP form last season. And comparative to last season, it doesn't seem like, at least the first 6 games, he's that.
Completely agree. But average then, people talk about average, average top 10 quarterback. It's we need to go look at like Sam Howell this year is average.
Right.
Like I would say.
And
like,
that's really what I meant. It's like
Yeah.
average top 10, like not, obviously it's not the 18th ranked QB in the league right now, but more of like.
average top 10. So let's get this
That's
right.
my
He's
favorite-
an average top 10 and Josh Allen's an overrated top 3.
That's my favorite argument about Josh Allen. It's like, I don't think Josh Allen's bad. I just don't think he's top 3. I think he's like, he might be top 5.
I don't know. I was fond of that.
I don't know.
I love Josh Allen. I think he's
dude,
great.
in my head,
Thank you.
in my head, it makes complete sense. It's like he's an average top. Like no one's gonna doubt that Jalen Hurts is in the top 10, right? Like no one's gonna doubt that unless something crazy happens. So then it's like, well, if he's top 10 QB, how is he playing for top 10 QB? Then that's what at least how my brain works. It's like Josh Allen. No one's going to doubt Josh Allen's not, once again, a top 10 QB in the league. But a lot of people are going to doubt, like, he might be the 3rd best quarterback. He might be the 7th best quarterback. So that's why I think comparative to what people think about Josh Allen, he's overrated because he's not in the top 3 or 4, in my opinion.
But now that it's a popular opinion for him to be overrated, doesn't that rate him again?
That's all, it depends on who you're talking to.
You've got an interesting brain, brother.
I couldn't have said it better myself, Scott.
That's the way it works, baby.
All right, let's hit that other good quarterback. The highlight.
So the highlight to end it's got to be Jared Goff. Jared Goff is having a sneaky good season. Right now, number-wise, he's a top 5 QB in the league. He's having a sneaky good season. He played well again against the Bucs last week. He's doing a great job of not turning the ball over and being very efficient. So overall, I mean, Jared Goff, you could argue right now, is a top 5 QB in the league.
I will say I love that too, because he got the raw end of the deal going to Detroit. Like Matthew Stafford, I don't know. To me, they feel very comparable.
I agree.
I understand maybe Matthew Stafford's a tiny, but like he's not a bad quarterback.
He won the Super Bowl, so I think Matthew Stafford gets a lot more credit than Goff. But I do think they're very similar, very comparable in terms of skill.
And like they built the team that year. Like everyone was talking about, they're surprised that the Rams are still relevant to some degree because they sold everything to get a good team. And so it's like if they did that with Jared Goff, very well could have won that.
100%. I think so too. Yeah, I think so. And plus, I mean, he's obviously showing he's got some pieces to the Lions. And
Right. The Lions have been awful, and now he's got some pieces around him.
Couple good running backs, couple good
5-1.
wide receivers, and now they're 5-1.
Which I guess all that I'm saying with that gets me fired up because I'm like, that's awesome.
Yeah.
Go to Detroit.
Go Lions.
Where no one wanted to go before, and you went and you're making them relevant. That's cool. I like that.
Especially, I think he's top. He might be. I could be wrong, but he might be top 3 in passer rating. Definitely top 5.
He's been playing great.
Yeah.
Really good.
And also, last thing bonus I'll say here is Tua's leading the league in yards. Obviously, Tua's looking very good at QB. I think if he stays healthy, the Dolphins are obviously going to be a problem. But the question is, obviously, as of last year, like, can he stay healthy? Because the minute I think Tua goes down, it's like the Jets, right? The minute Tua goes down to the Dolphins, just like how Aaron Rodgers went down to the Jets.
Yeah.
Like, I think it's the same situation because their defense isn't great. And they have a lot of weapons on offense. But once again, if you don't have a good QB, once again, managing the system, it's like, so that's what makes me, I think that's why I was like doing some soul digging. Like, why do I think the Dolphins aren't as good as what?
And is it because you're nervous about Tua?
It is. It's because like, and it's also, nervous about Tua, but it's also like, I think a good team destroys their defense and then it's a shootout. And then it's like, well, who obviously plays better? And it'll be interesting to see the Dolphins go against, and even an Eagles defense. I think it'll be really interesting to see the Dolphins go against like a Browns defense.
Yeah.
Right? Because what happens when they can only score 21 points and their defense isn't great?
Last thing I'd say though, with the quarterback talking about Tua is same thing with like Brock Purdy. Tua to me is a perfect fit for the Dolphins.
He is. 100%.
He like they talk about like he loves slants, he loves getting the ball out quick to these like fast receivers. Like that's what the Dolphins need. And so like to your point, you could get into other quarterbacks, but I don't think it's a one-to-one like exchange where people act like with the 49ers if you just replace Brock Purdy and got someone else in there.
Which is a crazy take. I heard a take the other day that's like if you put Mac Jones.
Yeah, it was Dan Orlovsky.
Yeah, if you put Mac Jones into the 49ers offense, he would have the same numbers as Brock Purdy.
Oh, I don't know. I don't know. I mean, we've seen flashes of greatness from Mac.
Yeah.
Like I'm so lost with Mac. I don't know where I fall with him. He's obviously not the guy, but he's won a national championship. You saw him at Bama. I do think he can be a good quarterback. I don't think he's working in. Well, he's obviously not working.
Yeah,
in
there are also other pieces missing
correct.
too.
I mean,
right,
Belichick's
we don't have many
coach.
weapons.
Right.
He's not even an average coach.
we don't have many weapons to help him out, but he's looked very bad this year. This looks like his worst year.
Yeah. Well, it's also like Patriots. I still think the Panthers are better than the Patriots. In a head-to-head matchup, I think the Panthers might squeak it out.
I don't know.
If they played 10 times,
we beat the Jets.
It might go 5-5.
You
to
did
me.
beat the Jets. Yeah.
Maybe 5-5 out of 10.
Yeah, I know. They're both.
We're bad.
Yeah.
Tanking for
but
Caleb
anyway,
Williams.
I think Brock Purdy, once again, it gets a lot of disrespect because he has good weapons around him, but you still have to throw the football.
So we're about to get into coaches,
Yep.
which is just naturally happening. But before that, I want to talk really briefly about NFL officiating because I was listening to Bussin' with the Boys and Dean Blandino was on it. Shout out JP, the boy there.
Yeah.
So yes, I've been harsh on officials. I will probably always be. I have a tough relationship with authority.
Yeah, you have a God complex.
No, I think they have a God complex, and that makes me mad. Also, just fun fact, in the Browns versus Niners game, it was like pretty equal, but there were 25 penalties for 224 yards that game, which is ridiculous.
Wow.
There's also a couple questionable penalties.
Especially the one on 3rd and 10 where he got hit because he came off the feet. They said like defenseless receiver.
Yeah.
Everyone was like, that's a legal hit.
Yeah.
What this brings me all to is like, it is a hard job. I do not give that enough credit. You have like, you're watching before the play, during the play, after the play. There's no offense, defense. Like you're always on. I get that. It's tough. I think the problem is like consistency is key. Like everyone, we've talked about this before. It's like be more aggressive on the penalties or less aggressive. Just like call it consistent and call it the same way in the fourth quarter as you did in the second quarter and on both teams and so on and so on. Where it gets tough though is if there's 17 different like NFL officiating crews with 7 people on it. If like the average, I was listening to when Dan Blandino was talking about it, it's like if the average is like 15 penalties a game on both sides, one team's gonna, or like one officiating crew is gonna call it 20 times, and then one person's gonna call it 10 times. Like it's not consistent between those, which is okay. It's like you go out in the beginning of the game and they call it one way, and that sets the tone. Because like people argue sometimes, it's like, well, if it's the hold or it's not hold, like is it technically? It's like, well, no, like this crew might call it this way and this crew might call it different. What I don't understand though with all of this is why are reviews not used more? Because like if it is this hard, which I believe that it is, take the 49ers one. Can't you start reviewing it and then look over the trend that was set throughout the game and like use a couple examples of it and be like, is this a penalty based off of these other ones? And so it's like consistent from beginning to end. Like you don't necessarily even revert it to the technical rules.
Yeah. That's tough though, because then you just have a bunch of penalties every game into the challenge.
But what if it's like the baseball challenge, where you get one challenge, and if you win it, it's different than or maybe you use a regular challenge, like one of your 2 normal ones, but you're able to review those. And then again, in crucial moments, it's like the 2-minute drill, like, or not 2-minute drill, but the 2-minute warning when they start reviewing everything. It's like, they look into these big hits, big stuff, because it's like, it's that hit, for instance, I even got mad at the player watching it live because I thought that it was at first. And then in replay, I was like, that wasn't. So I can't really fault them for not doing that. But then why would you not review it? That's what I just don't understand.
Like, why don't you use the reviews more?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like, it shouldn't be a...
So are you saying there should, like, any penalty can be reviewable? Like, if it's like an offensive holding call or if it's like an offside or like any penalty could be...
I mean...
Or limit it to like personal
Like,
fouls?
maybe personal fouls, but I'm almost wondering, it's like, why can't a hold or something be called? And this is where, again, I think that you review it based off the standards of what's been called all game.
Yeah, but someone said it. I forgot who said it, but there was like in the O-line, there's a hold every play.
Right. No, that's what I'm saying. But that's a perfect example. It's like you're looking all game at seeing what's been called a hold. And so... Because, you're taught to hold. You're just like getting up under the shoulder pads.
Yeah, I mean, with the AI now, I'm sure they could store all that data and be like, this is,
Yeah, or it's like flagged and you look at it and you have a now data set of 5 different plays that were similar to that one. And then you review it based off of that and call it the best you can. That's the other thing. It's like right now where review is, I kind of hate that it has to be indisputable evidence. I kind of like, shouldn't it just be look at it and you make your best call then?
No.
Right.
Why?
I don't like that.
Why?
Well, because it's like then you really open it up. Like I think there's too many gray lines in that and what you're talking about, where it's like we're gonna call it one way, right? And then if it's 80% the other way, we might return or like reverse it, where it's like I think a big thing is like if you did that, you would open up so much gray area.
The subjectivity already exists with it. Because that's like the problem is that there's so much gray area that's based off of the call that they're making on the field. It's tough to do in the moment. And so like for the 49ers, they still should have won. But like that call was a huge call.
Yeah.
And like if you just look at it a second, you'd be like, we messed up. And that was fine. Like we did that in the moment. Move on.
Right. It's a fast game.
Yeah.
Yeah, I see both sides of the argument. I don't know what the answer is, but I do see where both of you are kind of coming from. I mean, you would think by this point they'd have some kind of automated,
like AI, or like,
something where they could plug in and see, if it's a hold or I don't know.
This is 93% a hold.
Right? Yeah, I don't know what the answer is, but I do see both sides of your argument.
It's just tough because, like an official, and I get this is why it's tough for them too. It's like you can never be like, that was a great. Like if you do a perfect game, if you don't make any mistakes, then you just do your job right. Like you can't make a game any better by not missing calls. All you can do is mess up a game by how bad you mess up the calls. It's like I get that it's tough like that. Then the question though is like why don't we use more tools to make it more fair between the teams so that the game is a closer representation of what it should be instead of influenced by this bias.
I like what you're saying, maybe like the 2 challenge flags, but if you don't have like parameters like that and you're just like, oh, any penalty is reviewable. I mean, that is just gonna, that's gonna take 6 hours to finish that game.
It's gonna be baby steps or however it moves.
But I like you get 1 challenge for penalties.
Yeah.
Only penalties every game. Like something like that I could get behind where it's like, but the tough part with that is like, well, if it's 72% not a hold, is it like, do we revert? That's like that's tough. I think it's probably why they haven't.
Well, that's what I'm saying. You just do it based off of what's been called. Like,
yeah, but how do you get that data?
There's already like a lot of it in a game. Like in this example, you're not going to review that if it's first quarter, probably. But like later in the game, there have probably been 4 or 5 hits close to that. And if there haven't, then you just look at it and you're like, yeah, that wasn't a penalty. You know what I mean? Or you're like, yes, we actually called this 3 times earlier in the game.
But how are they seeing these 4 or 5 hits? Or is this like an AI program that just
I bet there is AI now that can just create these data sets based off of it.
I like it more though towards the personal fouls. That's kind of something I can get behind. Like some of the roughing the passers are the dumbest calls in the world. And then also kind of like what you're saying, the personal foul against the Browns. Like that's not a personal foul. Like that was a clean hit. So like I like those types of. The tough part with like the pass interference and the holds and like it's so subjective and there's just no way to make it, unless the guy like obviously just like body slams and like, okay, that's a hold, But it's like,
yeah, but that's where I'm like, you can see how you've been calling it all game. It's not like that big of a data set. If the average is 15 penalties a game, then you look like what got flagged and what really you mostly need to look at what got flagged to figure out like how you've been calling it. And then if it isn't up to that standard, then you let it go. It's just, I guess I don't understand why a catch would be able to be reviewable and this wouldn't.
Right.
Because it affects the game even more so because it's out of control of the players. Or not more so, but equally.
Yeah.
Anyway.
If you listen to last week's episode, you heard Christian and his tomfoolery.
You mean Tom didn't carry Bill?
Yeah, exactly. Tom carried Bill. He's not the greatest coach. Andy Reid's better than him.
I think he said he's not a bad, but an average.
He's an average coach.
No, once again, you guys take something I say and you just run with it. I said it begs the question, did Tom Brady carry Bill Belichick, and is Bill Belichick not as good of a coach as we originally thought? I think that's actually exactly what I said.
You did say it begs the question. And then he said that he's not.
You can't fault Belichick for having Tom Brady in his system.
You can't fault him, but you can make that a knock as like, once Tom Brady leaves, he wins a Super Bowl with the Bucs.
Tom Brady could go anywhere and win a Super, maybe not anywhere.
That's what I'm saying, but Belichick's average. No, I'm kidding.
Well, it would be because to Tom's credit,
kidding,
he would he's known that he would sacrifice his pay a little bit to bring people along and help win
100%.
championships.
Exactly. Also, Bill Belichick, he's not only the coach, he's the GM. He's bringing in all those players for all those championships.
Should he not be a GM? Is that a question?
Well, he is. He's
I'm saying, but like, should he? Like, is he not as good of a GM as he is a coach?
Ooh.
I don't know.
Or is he a better GM than he is a coach? Ooh, that's another good one. Next time Scott's on the pod, we'll do is Bill Belichick.
What you got to say, Boston guy?
Yeah.
I don't know. I think two things can be true at once.
Yeah.
I think Tom Brady is obviously the greatest quarterback of all time.
Yep.
I do think Bill Belichick is the greatest coach of all time. Maybe it's a little bit of a homer in me, but he's got 8 Super Bowls, 6 as a head coach, most of any head coach ever. He's got 2 as a defensive coordinator with the Giants. I mean, Andy Reid, he's got Patrick Mahomes.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, another good point. Another good point.
It is interesting though, like thinking about
it is. Yeah, I mean,
there's no right answer. I mean,
we had Cam Newton the first year that Tom Brady left.
Legend.
We've got Mac Jones now, which clearly isn't working. So I mean, he doesn't have he doesn't have the tools around him to. I mean, our record now is 1-5 is off, or 2-4, whatever we are.
1-5.
1-5.
But I mean, it's like you shouldn't be expected to win or get the playoffs even every year.
That's true.
What the Patriots did with Tom Brady, that's an exception.
No one's going to replicate that.
Yeah, and down years don't discredit. Because, okay, real quick, we're talking about Andy Reid versus Bill Belichick. So, total record, Andy Reid is now, regular season, 252 and 139. So, has a just below 65% win percentage in 25 years. And Bill Belichick is 299 in 157, so like just above 65% in 29 years. That 300th regular season win might take a minute. It might take a while.
That is a cool milestone. That is a cool milestone.
So, and Andy Reid just got his 250th this season. So, like, both objectively great coaches. If you're averaging over a almost 30-year career, 65%, that's great. Have down years. Like, I think that's what gets me, and my whole point that it's like it's ridiculous to talk about him not being good because of down years.
I agree. And even the first year we lost Tom Brady, Cam Newton went 7-9 with that roster that the Patriots had at that time. They should have been nowhere close to a 7-9 team.
Yeah.
We were awful. So I credit Bill Belichick for that season. And you see in the broadcasts when the Patriots play, at least I'm hearing all these new records that are being set, like, oh, Bill Belichick, this is the most points he's ever led up. This is the most he's ever lost by. He's been coaching for 29 years, and these records are just now coming out. 29 years into coaching in the NFL. Yeah. So
that's a good point. Yeah. Well, I think he's the most average great head coach.
What I do think is interesting with all of this, though, is Andy Reid is an offensive mind. So he gets someone like Patrick Mahomes and is able to create what the Chiefs' offense is, which not looking great this year. Could be down here too. But still, like, that's a great pairing. What's interesting about Bill and Tom is Bill's a defensive mind. And so the Patriots had amazing defenses over that stretch. Right. And then if you get a good quarterback that is able to run with more offensively,
that's a good point.
That's kind of like, again, it's not even a discredit. I think that having Tom and finding Tom and building Tom into who he is a testament to being a good coach.
And Tom was, you can't forget where he was drafted. Like he wasn't anybody. So.
Yeah. What's Matt Castle, right? Was the QB for Tom?
Drew Bledsoe.
Oh, sorry, Drew Bledsoe. Drew Bledsoe was good, by the way.
Well, that's the other thing. It's like, to Bill's credit, I love him on a first name basis with him, by the way. It's just Belichick's a lot to say over and over again.
Yeah.
I mean, for B Bell over here.
For BB.
I just call him my guy usually.
Like, to stick with Tom as the starter. I'm also on a first name with Tom. Brady's easy to say, and we're just tight. For Tom to start over Drew Bledsoe after the injury, when they come back and it's like, no, Tom Brady's the starter. That's a big coaching decision.
Yeah, because Drew Bledsoe was a good QB.
And so that's a testament
he
of a
won
good
a Super
coach.
Bowl with did he ever win a Super Bowl with Bledsoe?
He never won one with them.
Okay. But
he was number one overall draft pick.
Oh, I didn't know that.
You give up a number one overall draft pick quarterback for
a 6th round.
Yeah, because he was 199th.
I think so.
Yes.
Right? Something like that. So to me, that's a testament of Bill Belichick being a good coach. Because again, it's a good coach, works with the players.
Decision. Yep. I mean, who knows if Tom Brady ever would have,
been Tom Brady.
Yeah, exactly.
Argument for Andy Reid, obviously, is he was very successful with 2 teams. Who's better, Andy Reid or Bill Belichick?
Ooh. Bill. He sucked with the Browns.
So did most people.
Fair enough.
Okay, that's fair. The Browns. I mean, you just look at everything he's accomplished. I get it. Andy Reid's a great coach, and he's got a couple Super Bowls. He did well with the Eagles. Bill Belichick's only been with not only been with the Patriots, but that's where he's got most of his success with Tom Brady. But I just don't think you can not fault him for having Tom Brady, but I don't think the Patriots have had anywhere close to the talent that they did when Tom Brady was there.
Yeah.
So, I mean, he can't go out there and make the play, like throw the football. He can't go out there and make plays.
So what if, though, Andy Reid and Patrick Mahomes stays healthy for a little while? They go to a few more, win a couple more. How's that conversation look? Because then Andy Reid took another team with the Eagles and Donovan McNabb to the Super Bowl. Yep. They lost that one, but he still took a team there. Builds Patrick Mahomes into who he is now.
I mean, yeah, it would be a good argument in a couple years if the Chiefs get a couple more Super Bowls. But again, like, he's got Patrick Mahomes. It's the same argument you're putting up with Bill Belichick having Tom Brady. You have that superstar quarterback. You're going to be good. Whatever. Yeah. With a superstar quarterback, it's hard to lose. I mean, not to lose games, but you know what I mean.
Well, that's where, to my point earlier about like using the talent as a coach, a superstar quarterback should be indicative of the coach's performance, not a ding against it. Because it's like there are a lot of very talented people that come to the league.
That's kind of what I'm trying to hint at. Yeah.
So you think if Patrick Mahomes went to the Panthers, he wouldn't be good?
If he had gotten drafted straight into the Panthers, that
like
could be
first overall. Yeah,
it could be an entirely different story.
Correct. Yeah.
Than coming in because he didn't play.
Gosh,
he played like 2 games.
How crazy would that? Obviously, we'll never be able to see it.
Yeah.
But like, how crazy would it be if it's like, hey, Patrick Mahomes gets drafted and goes to Chiefs, wins 5 Super Bowls, Hall of Fame QB, and then he gets drafted #1 overall and goes to the Bears, and then like the difference.
Yeah, like if you could see the alternate.
How cool would that be? And it's like, I mean, maybe there's a chance. I truly believe like he would lose confidence in the first year. Second year, people would doubt him. And then all of a sudden, maybe he makes it in the year 6 or the league 6 years and never wins Super Bowl. It's a crazy,
there are a lot of factors.
So many factors. Yeah. That'd be nuts though to see that, but obviously we'll never see it. But
would Dak have been Tom Brady?
Right? Am I Tom Brady?
Well, some things we do know. Some things we know.
But all in all,
I watched you throw this football right here into my neighbor's yard twice in a row after I told you that you're going to overthrow it.
Yep.
I watched you get rattled.
Man, I was
with an audience of 1. I saw you get rattled.
Every good QB is off at some point. I was off that day.
Yeah, normally they're off because they have NFL players.
Overall, it's not even close. Andy Reid's better. No, I'm kidding. I think Bill Belichick is obviously from a statistics standpoint better. But I think both are great coaches. I mean, we're talking about the NFL and kind of take a step back. It's like all coaches in the NFL obviously are very good at what they do.
Right.
Like, they're very good head coaches, and to have success at that level in that league. You can't just be a good coach or a great coach. Like, you need to have great pieces. You need to have a great organization. You need to have a good owner. Like, there's so many things that have to come together.
Right.
Not just a superstar QB or a great coach, obviously. So I think all in all, both great head coaches. I will take Bill here.
Oh, you will?
I will.
Interesting.
Let's go.
I think I'm gonna take Bill, but I think that Andy Reid could do it. Like, it's a wait and see.
I think in a couple years, that argument will be a lot more
I think if Andy Reid wins 2 more Super Bowls, he's better than Bill Belichick. Boom.
Oh, so 4 versus 6?
Yeah, because he's done with 2 different teams.
But he didn't win it as the head coach with the Phillies. Or not Phillies. You started me. You started me on it. I can't. No. I'm going to dream about the Phillies too.
But dude, but you could always make the argument, and once again, experience is, the first few years in the league are tough, and Cleveland Browns obviously are cursed as an organization. But he had a bad record with the Cleveland Browns.
It's honestly a decent record for being with the Cleveland Browns.
He was still growing as a coach.
Patrick Mahomes not making the Hall of Fame, but we can keep
also
going.
Head to head right now. There's with the Eagles, Reid's 0-3 against Bill Belichick.
He's making Hall of Fame.
And then with the Chiefs, they're 3-3. So
I didn't hear you.
it's another sign.
I started blocking you out.
Welcome to my world.
Oh, that's interesting. To 0-3, I didn't know.
0-3 with Reid on the Eagles playing the Patriots.
Well,
and
they really
then
only met
3-3.
in the playoffs then, right? The Patriots and the Eagles.
With the Chiefs,
2017.
with the Chiefs, Andy Reid is 3-1 in the regular season, and then 0-2 against the Patriots in the playoffs.
Okay,
And
but the
then
Eagles, I feel like. I mean, I guess it'd be a random AFC NFC matchup. I guess.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. Should we get the power rankings?
We should do the power rankings. You want to go first?
Can I go first?
Oh, because I know you're excited about pick 10 coming in here.
Pick number 10, the Cincinnati Bengals. I'm without a shadow of a doubt, they're going to make the playoffs now. I have full hope.
You've been waiting for this since week 2, and you finally had to remove
Joe
them.
Burrow, he looked okay. Cleveland Browns at number 9. Their defense is the real deal. Number 8, Baltimore Ravens. They have to learn to close games, but they have a lot of weapons. And I feel like they can compete with anyone at this point.
Mm-hmm.
7, Jags. Trevor Lawrence, you hate, I love as just a man. Number 6, Buffalo Bills. Hate to put them that high. I think they're a very streaky team.
With one of the
against
most
the Giants.
overrated top 3 quarterbacks that exist in the league.
And then number 5. So 5 through 1 here. I like the Detroit Lions. I almost put them at 4. I mean,
I almost moved them up in my list.
Detroit
too.
Lions, Jared Goff, once again, is looking great this season. They have some really good offensive weapons finally. And overall are just a complete football team. I love their head coach. Miami Dolphins, 4. Once again, they make me nervous, but I still think their offense is dynamic at 4. 3, Eagles. Once again, Hurts makes me nervous, and the holes they have in defense now with injuries and people that left over the offseason also make me nervous. Chiefs, number 2. They're 5-1, but they've won 4 games by a close margin. So they also haven't looked great. The NFL in total, it's been a weird season, I feel like, the first 6 weeks. But then I still think 49ers take it at 1, even after losing to the Browns. Couple unfortunate things happen with injuries, just like how last year in the playoffs.
That was tough.
Yeah.
I'm going to make a pivot on my list.
Oh.
But 10, we've got the Cowboys coming in.
Okay.
Would love to eliminate them from the top 10, but they're just hanging around.
Yeah.
They're just like a little hangnail sticking there at 10. Cleveland Browns at 9. Incredible defense. I'm just not sure that they're that much better with Deshaun Watson than PJ Walker when he comes back. So
100%.
It's defense. Unfortunately, right now, I don't know if you can win a championship with just defense. 8, Jacksonville Jaguars. I was big on them early in the season. Then they lost to the Texans, and that's when I finally swore them off. I'm like, I'm done with them. Texans, though, I was wrong about. They are not a bottom feeder team. They're a little bit better. And so the Jags, are 2 losses are the Chiefs and the Texans. Not terrible. They beat the Bills. So anyway, I don't think they're a top 5 team yet, but 8 feels good for them. Ravens 7. They have all the pieces there to be an elite team, but right now they just don't know how to close games or finish it. So they're staying there at 7 behind the Bills, who I thought the Dolphins had one of the highest variabilities and potential. I think the Bills are up there. It's like roulette trying to figure out which Buffalo Bills are going to show up on a Sunday or Monday or Thursday. Then the Chiefs at 5.
Wow.
Top 5 to me, they're all over the place. I've bumped them down. I'm like, if you can only score 1 touchdown against the Broncos, that's, I don't know if you deserve top 2, 3 spot.
That's tough.
They still have Patrick Mahomes. They still have Travis Kelce. They've lost a lot of weapons on offense. Their defense looks good. I don't know how elite they look because we're talking about against the Broncos. Of course, everyone's defense looks pretty good against the Broncos. Then 4, I'm going to go Eagles here. I originally was thinking Lions at 4, but the Eagles had some big injuries.
Yeah.
They didn't wow me when they were winning and then lost to the Jets, which Jets might be a little bit better than I was thinking, but I'm going to move them to 4, and then I'm going to have the Lions at 3. I think the Lions are the real deal. They took care of business against good teams like the Chiefs and bad teams like the Panthers. They are... honestly, the injuries didn't really faze them when St. Brown was out, with Jahmyr Gibbs, with Montgomery. They still find a way to win, and that's a sign of a really good team. So I think right now I like them over the Eagles. Dolphins at 2, because when they're on, I don't know if there's a team that could beat them at their best. Maybe, the 49ers and them. But their offense isn't elite. They were down 21 or 14 to the Panthers, and they're like, yeah, let's start scoring. And then they covered a ridiculous spread of 14.
Covered 21.
Yeah, and then right now, 49ers still at 1. Their offense took some hits against the Browns, which is the best defense. They lost their 2 best offensive players. Trent Williams went down for a little bit, came back, wasn't playing at 100%, and was against Myles Garrett for a lot of it. It's like, oh yeah, get hurt and then play against one of the best defensive players in the league. Defense still looks good. Fred Warner's a beast. Bosa's going to only get better, I think, throughout the season. I think still, I'm high on them. It's also biased.
Still had a chance to win the game.
Still had a chance to win the game. Brock Purdy did the things in the right time to give him a shot. So with all of that, I think they're one.
They played to lose, or not to lose, but...
You could argue they should have gone farther, but they drove down the field. He didn't play great, but stepped up when he needed to. Yeah. A 41-yard field goal from the dead center of the field is a very good shot at winning a game. Yeah. Like, you can't ask for more on that drive, really.
I like Joe's list more.
Let's go.
I personally had the Lions at 4 as well. I actually had the Eagles as low as 5.
Well, you got your list now? Let's hear it.
Oh, yeah, I got my list. I'll just run through it real quick. I won't speak to it too much. But number 10, I had the Bengals. Joe's looking better every week. The Jags, defense looks good. They're consistently putting up 20, 30 points. Then I had the Ravens. You know, they got lots of injuries. Bills at 7, a lot of work to do. Cowboys, I had at number 6. Ooh. I know you guys didn't have them in yours. They had the one bad loss to the Cardinals, but, you know, they blew out the Jets, the Patriots, the Giants.
This game was one of the, like, against the Chargers, was one of the only close ones that they've been in. Yeah. Right. Like, they've either blown out teams or gotten blown out.
Exactly, Eagles, I have at number 5. You know, losing to the Jets, it kind of took some credibility away from them for me.
For the first time in franchise history.
Oh, really?
Yeah, they're 0-12.
The Jets had never beaten the Eagles. Also, the last time the Eagles didn't cover against the Jets was like 2003 or 2004.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
It was time.
Yeah, that was a tough game.
It was time.
Tough game for the Eagles. The Patriots also own the Jets. Just want to put that out there. Lions, I had at number 4. Their only loss was to the Seahawks. They beat the Chiefs. I like this Lions team a lot.
In overtime, too.
In overtime, yep. Like you said, they've had a ton of injuries, and they're still finding new ways to win. I like Jared Goff a lot. I actually had the Chiefs drop to number 3. Their defense looks good. You know, you still have Patrick Mahomes. Patrick Mahomes has not looked the same as he has in the past. Dolphins at number 2. I like Tua. He's looking good. Again, as long as he can stay healthy. Their offense looks elite. Tyreek Hill is so fast.
He's so fast. Their whole team is so fast. Have y'all seen this? Like the fastest times with a ball carrier so far this year. It's like Tyreek Hill, A-Chain.
Yeah, I did see that.
Tyreek Hill, Waddle.
It's insane. Their offense is electric.
It's like 7 of them that are all Dolphins.
And then I had 49ers at number 1.
Yeah, I like that.
I was wondering if you, Christian, were going to keep the 49ers at 1.
So I still think they're 1. I almost regret my Dolphins at 4. I don't even know if they should be in the top 5.
Wow.
And the reason is, man, people are freaking out about Dolphins because they have a lot of weapons. They're so fast, and I get it. They're 5-1. Keep in mind, the Bills destroyed them. It wasn't close, and that's the only pretty much good team they've played all year. Like, the Chargers are decent, and they beat the Chargers by 2 points. So it's like their next toughest opponent?
Eagles this week.
But I'm saying, like, that they've beaten the Giants? I mean, dude, they played the Giants, the Panthers, and the Broncos in 3 of the 6 games.
That's a good point.
Yeah.
So it's like, and the one team that they faced was actually arguably a top 10 team, they got murdered by, and they got absolutely destroyed by. So it'll be really interesting. I think this week's going to be really interesting because it's going to go one of 2 ways. The Dolphins are going to be shut up.
Yeah.
Right? And they're going to be like, okay, they're not as good as we think. Eagles beat the Dolphins, and you know, it's that type of game. Or maybe they shut my mouth up and they score 50 points against the Eagles, right?
It'll be interesting to see.
Yeah, it'll be really interesting.
Let's move on to picks review. Another win for you. You're closing the gap. Before long, we're going to be tied, and that's a scary thought for me. It's a depressing thought, honestly. It's not even scary. Because I had Kansas City minus 5.5, and then Pacheco touchdown. Thought it was a lock against the Broncos. Nope. Because they only scored 1, and it was the guy who can't catch.
Yeah.
It's like an Anchorman. It's like, even the guy who can't think said something. Even the guy who can't catch scored a touchdown. I feel bad. I don't like talking bad about players because maybe one day they'll ever hear this. Who knows? And I'm like, I
Max
can't do
Crosby follows the pod
on Instagram.
Really?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, I think he thinks that I'm JP, but I'll take it.
Yeah.
Very
We'll take
cool.
it.
Yeah. But so on the list, Broncos, that was a loss with the parlay that I had there. Then 49ers obviously didn't cover because they lost. Then the over didn't cover because missed the field goal, missed 2 of them.
Oh, that's tough.
It was tough. Either one of the field goals would have helped that. 37.5. You thought it was a lock too. So low.
Dude, I did.
Oh, you had the Dolphins minus 13.5?
Yeah, we both had
Yeah,
that
we
and that
both
hit.
did.
The only
Oh,
one that
yeah,
I
we
got
both-
right, we both got Christian. So
Yeah.
it was Miami minus 13.
How much were you guys sweating at the start of that game?
Honestly, we've watched enough
Yeah,
Carolina this
not-
season. We're
not
like,
a lot,
you
to
knew.
be honest.
You
we're
knew.
good. We're good.
So, yeah, we both had the Lions and Bucks, Panthers and Dolphins. So we were 2-0 there. But, yeah, you had a couple 49ers that didn't hit. My Eagles obviously lost the Jets, which is upsetting. I'm never going to pick a London game again. I only did the Colts covering the Jags because Joe tells me that these London games and their rest and
So you had to do your own version or reverse it. And so
their
when they come
their
back.
little bodies get tired, but I was I was wrong.
But Cincy,
And then I did win the Joe Burrow bet because it was a pivotal game for the Cincinnati Bengals. And I was like, if they lose this game, I think their season's borderline over. So I was like, it's a must win. And I felt good enough that they were going to win that game.
I like that. Well, picks this week. We'll run through ours, and then our man
Scott's got a little parlay.
He's got a mortal
Sunday
lock parlay
parlay
coming.
action.
I'm going to start off with the game that you thought we're just talking about, the Dolphins at Eagles. I think that Miami's going to win that game. So I have them covering +2.
I changed one of mine.
So I've got, which one are you changing?
I forgot to put the Panthers spread.
They're not in.
Oh, that's right.
There isn't one there.
I knew there was a reason.
Yeah, I knew there was a reason. So I think that Miami's going to win the game, but since I can, I'm going to take cover for this. Mostly because, to your point, they haven't played a lot of people. They lost like the big one. Like they know they need to step up on this game. The Eagles have a lot of injuries in the secondary. Their defense has not honestly looked good this year. And then you add injuries on top of it. Jalen Carter's also out against the offense like Miami. I think that's a little bit dangerous.
Yeah.
We'll see how the big question is going to be the Eagles offense to me. Like A.J. Brown has looked great this year. I think Jalen Hurts has looked okay. Like good for him, I think even. Or sorry, good and okay for him, if that makes sense. Devonta Smith has not looked that good yet this year. And Goddard's been okay. Really only one decent game. So anyway, that's my rationale for that. Other ones I've got are Lions at Ravens. I think the Lions are also going to win this game, but I'm going to put them down at covering +3. So 2 underdogs that are covering there. Then Commanders at Giants is -2. I like
love
Washington.
that pick. I love that pick.
Yeah, we both got that one.
I almost did, which I know is on your list of the 49ers covering against Vikings. But I was like, it was too emotional to me to have that as a game that I'm emotionally vested in, and then one that I could lose to Christian on. So I went with Washington instead.
Fair enough.
I think the Giants played really well against the Bills because of Daboll and like coming from the Bills organization and being offensive coordinator there. But I'm still not sold on the Giants. Then Browns at Colts. I like the under, 39.5. It's a low under, but we've got Minshew in. Anthony Richardson might be out for a while. And then I don't know if Deshaun Watson's coming back, but he's either going to be back and not at 100%, or they have PJ Walker coming again. And so the Colts have a backup quarterback against the best defense in the league in the Browns. And then the Browns have an offense that hasn't even looked great really in any game. So I'm going to take the under at 39.5. And y'all know that I don't like unders. And so the fact that I have that one and then another one coming is interesting. We'll see how that goes. But Raiders at Bears, I'm going to go also under 37.5. It's a low one, but Justin Fields is out. Jimmy G went to the hospital with back stuff, but then came back, and I think that he might be playing, but he hasn't even looked great this year, and he's going to be hurt to some degree. So that's another under at 37.5. Those are the picks for me.
Nice. So we obviously had the same Lions at Ravens and then the Commanders at Giants. So I got Lions covering the +3. I think they're going to actually beat the Ravens. And then I have the Commanders covering the -2 as well. So we got those same. I think the Bills show out against the Patriots, not because the Bills are a great team, but I just think the Patriots are having a tough year. Kind of like how I bet against the Panthers spread every time.
As a Patriots fan, I like that pick.
Chargers at Chiefs. I think I like the over here. I don't do many overs, but I like the over here because I think it's going to be a shootout match between Herbert and Mahomes.
I'm fading that. That's my fade.
I'm also. I mean,
you want to fade it?
I'll get to it later. That's in my parlay. The under on that.
Oh, the under on it?
The under.
Okay.
The Chiefs, several times this year, I've been on record saying their offense hasn't looked good yet, and I think this is the game. And then I was wrong. And those were against, I don't know, I wouldn't say worse defenses than the Chargers, but maybe like equal defenses, comparable defenses.
Well, here's the thing too. It's like I don't think
you like that over.
No, I like the under.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, no, I'm fading.
I don't think like.
I guess what I'm saying, I was proved wrong
But
a couple times.
What if the Chiefs are down 14-0? You think they still don't score?
So I think the Chiefs defense is good though. I love
Chiefs
the Chargers
defense
offense.
is good.
Yeah, I think they have a great offense. Like they scored 17 against the Cowboys. Like they're good offense. Eckler's back, but he didn't wow anything Monday night.
No.
I think that they say even if they put up 20, I think it could easily be a 24-20 game, and that's the under hitting.
Too many points.
I'm going over. So I'm going over 49.5 here.
I hope I'm wrong. I love watching overs.
And then the 49ers. Honestly, it's good because if I hit great, and if your parlay hits, even better, man. 49ers at Vikings. I think the 49ers cover the -6.5 here. Yes, is it confirmed that McCaffrey and Samuel are both out for this week?
I don't think so yet. I think it's still up in the air. Like they could be back.
But even if they're out, I still like the 6.5 against the Vikings.
Because Justin Jefferson will be out too.
Justin Jefferson will be, I was about to say, because Justin Jefferson will be out, even though they're facing a top 3 QB in Kirk Cousins.
No, I like that. It was just too much emotionally for me to also put that, but rationally, I agree with it.
Yeah. Yep. And then we got Scott's parlay here.
All
plus
right, boys.
47?
Plus 547. Scotty's parlay.
Scotty making money.
All right. So I am glad to see only Christian faded me. I've got 3 legs. First leg is Chargers Chiefs under 49.5. I think that's too many points. Like Joe said, the Chiefs offense has not looked as good as it has previous years. We just saw the Chargers play last night?
Yep. 20 points.
Put up 20 points. So yeah. 20.
And not a full game or full week of rest either.
Exactly. Not a full week. I just think it's too many points. The Chiefs defense is solid. Chargers have a good defense as well. I think 50 points is a lot. And I don't think they're going to hit that. Next, I have the Browns money line against the Colts. I was surprised to see this line. It was only at -124 on FanDuel. I feel like the Browns are much better than the Colts. I mean, you
with
guys,
Anthony Richardson out too.
Yeah, Anthony
100%.
Richardson's out. Did you both have them in your power rankings, or one of you did?
I had him at 10. No, we both had him at 9. I think.
Both had
They're
9.
both in your top 10. The Colts are garbage. No Anthony Richardson, like you just said. And then Jaguars +3 against the Saints.
Ooh,
I actually like
that.
I actually like the Jags money line, but took the +3 to be safe.
Yeah.
Like I said earlier, the Saints are awful in the red zone. They are so bad. Derek Carr looks lost and confused out there.
They're barely using Olave.
They traded Will Lutz, and their rookie kicker is missing everything. I have no idea. I mean, it's in New Orleans, but I have no idea why the Saints are a favorite here. I'm taking Jags +3 all day.
That's great because you're moving the line because I think it's 1 right now. Is that right?
No, is that 3
no,
today?
that's at 3.
I looked today. It was at +3.
I like that a lot.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I almost had the money line, but I took the points to be safe. You know, it's the NFL. Anything can happen.
True.
Yeah.
If they lose by a field goal, it still hits. But yeah, that's my parlay plus 547.
I'm gonna take that.
So can you run through it one more time?
Yep. So I got the Chargers Chiefs under 49.5. I got the Browns money line over the Colts, and then I had the Jags +3 against the Saints.
It's a good
I
one.
think I'm gonna take it too.
Like it. I feel good about it. I feel good at $10.
You talked about 100. I'll throw in
$10
5.
wins you
I got
$10, 55, $5, half of that. I don't know what that's 27, 28.
27.5, whatever.
I love
But I
it.
feel really good about it.
I love that.
Tail with caution.
I love that. We will now go to Mr. Incognito. We had a little talk because
Cool.
the man's been struggling a little bit.
Yeah, well, he's been trying to pick upsets.
Well,
the
that's
whole
the
time.
thing. So he's been going for the big hot takes,
He
the
needs
upsets.
he needs 2 locks and 1 upset. I like that. What do you
So,
think about
so we
that?
mixed it up a little bit, and he's now just not going for all upsets, but a couple of locks.
Okay.
'Cause, I mean, college football, there's anything's up in
Dude,
the air.
college football, who knows?
There's no such thing as a guarantee. So
What's up, guys? Mr. Incognito back at it for another
Who is
week. Man, another tough week. Couple close losses. You know, that's okay. Got a couple good ones coming up for this week. So I'm going to start off with a lock of the week. I'm picking Alabama to beat Tennessee. I don't think this one's going to be close. They're both ranked. After what Tennessee did last year, the big hype they made around beating Alabama, you know, it was a big deal, but I think Alabama's just going to come in and manhandle Tennessee here. So I'm picking Alabama as my lock of the week. Upset-wise, I'd like to keep an eye on Utah playing USC, the fake USC, rather. Southern Cal did not look super great last week against Notre Dame. They got exposed. Utah beat Southern Cal twice last year. Southern Cal is a 6.5-point favorite. I'm picking Utah to win this game. Another one I'd like to keep an eye on is Ole Miss traveling to Auburn. I think Auburn is a sneaky team. Ole Miss is good, but they've got to go into Auburn, a place where Auburn almost upset the Georgia Bulldogs. So I think big upset coming for the Auburn Tigers. Keep an eye out on that one. All right, guys, take those picks to the bank.
I'm taking them to the bank.
I'm
putting in a parlay.
There you go.
I'm taking them to a safety deposit box in the bank.
Yeah, I think it's FDIC insured.
I really like the Alabama-Tennessee one.
So what's Tennessee ranked?
Alabama 11, Tennessee 17. Mm-hmm. I do like that a lot, though, because Tennessee did make a big fuss of it last year. Another interesting game is Penn State, though, Ohio State.
Oh, I can't wait for that game.
I like Penn State.
A lot of people are saying Ohio State's overrated. So
I've always think that I hate them.
I know, but a lot of people are saying that, so it'll be interesting to see because Penn State's a legit football team. It'll be interesting to see what happens.
Big Ten, though, right now with Penn State, Ohio State, Michigan. It's interesting.
They're the best conference.
Well, here's what's interesting about that. Because I've seen people talk about the SEC's garbage this year. Big Ten's really good. I think there's way more disparity, I guess, in the Big Ten, where you've got like these actual playoff contenders coming out, like cream of the crop, whatever. The SEC, I think, is very middle heavy. Like, I think there are a lot of good football teams in the SEC.
Probably like 30th ranked in the country.
Yeah, like even like take Georgia, for example. There are a lot of teams that I think they could lose to this whole year. Like even look at South Carolina against them. It's like they were down at half. Like there aren't as many cakewalks as I think that they have. And so it's interesting where the best teams out there, I think are like, I kind of like Michigan over Georgia right now. I think Michigan might be a better team, but they're very close. That was the point. And then Ohio State and Penn State over there with them. Whereas if you took the middle, the SEC, I think is going to like wipe the floor with the Big Ten right now. Yeah. So that's what's interesting there.
Well, and I think that definitely favors SEC teams too when they get to the playoffs, right? And instead of playing 2 or 3 good teams, they played 8.
Right. But it makes it so much harder to get to the playoffs.
That's true, but that's why SEC wins a lot, right? Georgia, Alabama, like SEC wins a lot. Can we talk about Bryce Harper now? I've been waiting this whole time.
Oh. Phillies are a wagon, dude.
I forgot we had that up. I wanted to just go straight to hockey here. Man, this is going to be a long episode because I'm depressed. Before we get into the ALCS and NLCS, all 3 of the 100-win teams this year are out. They went 1-9 in the divisional series.
Yeah, you're right. Yeah.
Dare I say that the playoff system's broken?
No,
that's
they
all
just
I'm going to
can't
say.
Perform when the lights are brightest. It's that simple.
Oh, yeah, because it's like we're doing 40 times, and we got some that are doing a flying 40 with the running start, and some have to start the line at the beginning, because that makes sense. You get to get hot at the end of the year, and then...
To back Joe up, I have been seeing a ton of complaints about the whole MLB playoff format.
Yeah. You think it should be 7 games, the divisional?
I do. Yeah. I do.
To be clear, though, the Braves fumbled the bag. They should have done better. Like, you can't be the best team.
I do agree with you. It should be 7 games. Yeah. I mean, I don't know why they don't do it. I don't know.
What I was saying, the only reason why, essentially, is like in the year, it's like November. Like, the only time you play in November is the World Series. Or if you play, in November.
So they just don't want it to stretch to November? They don't want it to,
because they're saying if you add 2 more games, essentially, I forgot what math they did, but that adds about a week.
Then just start the season a week sooner.
Right.
Yeah, but they were just like, that was the argument of only 5, was like, if we push it back another week, the postseason.
Yeah, but it's like if there's 162 games in the season, so what if you're starting a week too soon and they're not like warm yet? Like, who cares? At that point, it's like such a long season.
Play such a long season to only, to lose in a best of 5.
Gosh, it's a good point.
Again, I am more mad at the Braves than the playoff postseason structure.
Yeah.
It's interesting, though, that also the Orioles and the Dodgers, like all 3 of the best teams in the regular season are out. That's more of it. Mad at the Braves. First.
I really think, though, how tough is it for a team in the NFL, NHL, obviously the Bruins having a record season, the Braves having a record offensive season. I think there's just too much pressure on these teams when they have an unbelievable single season, right? It's one of the best ever. And then it's like all the pressure is on them to win a national or a championship or World Series or whatever. And the other team is hot, to your point.
They're hot and they have nothing to lose.
They have nothing to lose.
I completely agree with that.
Yeah, and the other one, there's pressure and they're sitting and waiting. It's like that is just, that's more of my thing. It's like, that's a tough combination. But then it's tough. It's like, do you really think that really Houston, Texas, Philly, or Arizona is a better baseball team than the Braves or like the Bruins in last hockey season? It's
when the Panthers, right?
Panthers, yep.
Yeah, the Florida Panthers.
I mean, I
watch every game, by the way.
I can get into it later, but the Panthers snuck in, made it to the Stanley Cup Finals. Yeah. So I think sometimes it's better to fly under the radar and not, you don't have any pressure on you to win. You're playing with house money at that point. Mm-hmm. So I agree with you.
Yeah.
But...
yeah, and pressure, dude. Those lights get bright too in the playoffs, right?
And then that, I think it just makes it that much harder than when you're not able to be hot and play, and you're having to stop and you're thinking and you're not like in the rhythm of anything.
And I completely see the argument. Like I wouldn't hate to see divisional be 7 games. Like I completely see the argument. But the tough part is, man, 7 games. I still don't think the Braves pull it out.
That's what I'm saying. I'm mad at the Braves first off. Like they just didn't show up. They should have showed up.
And dude, the Phillies are so. I mean, you saw they're just.
They look so good,
dude. Schwarber hitting the first pitch of the game, or first pitch of they were home, but first pitch of there.
But what makes me so frustrated is that's the way that the Braves were for months, the whole like regular season. It's like, they're really hot right now. It's like Acuna would just like lead off the games with home runs. Like Riley and Olsen went to back in almost every month except for October. Like, that's the way that the Phillies are, which I was scared to play the Phillies because I knew they had that potential. But it's like the Braves just stopped doing it when it mattered, which is frustrating. But now, all this to say, I'm the biggest Texas Ranger fan and the biggest Arizona Diamondbacks. Got a Gamecock on the team too.
Yeah.
Christian. Well, actually, both of those, because Jordan Montgomery and then Christian Walker.
Gotcha.
So I like my boy Nathan Eovaldi.
Dude, he's nasty.
But I am rooting for the Phillies just because I put a parlay with them.
But conflict of interest there.
Yeah, fair enough. Me and Dad are thinking about, because his favorite team's the Phillies. My dad's side grew up outside of Philadelphia. And so my uncle, granddad, dad, they're all big Phillies sports fans.
Yeah.
And if the Phillies make the World Series, I think we're going to try to snag a ticket.
Sweet.
Oh, no kidding.
Mm-hmm.
That'd be electric.
The Rangers are 2-0 against Houston, which I cannot stand the Astros. And then the only team that I can't stand more than the Astros are the Phillies. Yeah. So let's go Diamondbacks.
I will say I typically do not root for Phillies.
You just have a financial interest at this point.
Exactly. I'm invested in them.
Yeah.
So I'm supporting them right now.
You have a fiduciary duty at this point.
But other than that, I don't like Philly at all.
I would love to see a Rangers-Phillies World Series. I don't know.
Dude, I like the Rangers.
I feel like it's the Phillies' year, though.
I
didn't think I wanted the Rangers to get high. I didn't think they were, though.
Yeah, well,
because they fumbled the bag into the regular season. It's like the flip side of the other ones that had to get hot.
Yeah.
So anyway, game 2 right now. That'll be interesting to see.
Let's talk NHL for a second.
NHL.
Huh?
I want to become an NHL fan. I've got a team. Obviously, the Canes, kind of close, gritty team. I've turned on the alerts on ESPN, so that's how you know that it's like I'm trying to make it happen.
Okay. The Canes are very good. If right now, if you're jumping on the Canes wagon, they are top 3 team in the NHL.
So I've got a buddy who lives in Raleigh. He's big on them. He's been following them. He's like, they're gritty. You like the way they play. Good. But it feels daunting to like be a newbie at a sport and start to get into it.
I mean, when the Capitals won their Stanley Cup in 2018, everybody became a Capitals fan.
I remember. Well, that's what's interesting is I remember watching a couple games before then. And any game that I've ever watched, I'm like, hockey's cool. Like, I like
Dude,
hockey.
and I have you ever been to a live hockey game?
Yeah, so I went to like minor league hockey.
Okay.
They used to have a team in Columbia, and then I actually had, which is interesting in South Carolina, like a couple friends that grew up playing hockey, and so I'd go to their even like high school games were fun. Like it's just like I like it. I just haven't followed it.
Dude, hockey, I will say live hockey is, I've been to every major sporting event. Hockey is by far like the most fun sporting event. Everybody gets rowdy. You know, you can really hear like the difference between, like there's a huge difference between going to a game and just watching it on TV. Everybody looks so much faster. You can hear the hits. I mean, depending on how close you're sitting, you can hear the chirps. Like you actually feel like you're involved when you go to a hockey game.
Sounds like we need to go to a game.
It's indoor, dude. There's so much fun to go to.
We should go to a game. Let's go to a game.
And I mean, like I said, the league is so skilled right now. Like, you know, 20, 30 years ago, you know, a lot of bigger guys, slower guys, big checks. It was kind of like a bigger, slower league. The whole league has kind of changed in the last 10 years. Would you say it's
kind of like almost parallel with football where it used to be obviously like more in the trenches.
Exactly.
Like
now you got
defense heaven. Now it's like
now you got a bunch of water bugs out there just skating around. Like
water bugs. Is that a hockey term?
I like that.
I've also watched Letterkenny and Shoresy, so I've got that going for me.
Yeah. Two great shows. And you know, it's getting quicker. It's getting more skilled every single year. They have, obviously, you've probably heard about Connor Bedard.
Yeah.
He is everything as advertised and more.
Wow.
This kid is going to take over the world of hockey.
The world by storm.
Of hockey.
Wow.
He's only played 3 games in the NHL, obviously. He's on one of the worst teams in the league, but they've done a good job building around him. They picked up veterans like Taylor Hall, Nick Foligno from my Bruins. We basically traded them away for nothing because...
Love that.
Yeah, I didn't. But Corey Perry... they've surrounded him with a lot of veterans where he can continue to grow and learn from some of the best players in the league. He's going to be obviously a generational talent. He scored his first goal against the Bruins, his second game in. It seems like everybody scores their first goal against the Bruins. I know Crosby did. He's been like the next brightest thing to Connor McDavid.
He's a beast, right? Center?
Connor McDavid
Oilers?
is Oilers. Yep. Yep. Center for the Oilers.
You get Joe.
Yeah. Connor McDavid's the best hockey player on the planet right now. He's unreal. But he's the next biggest thing. I feel so bad for the kid though. He's been under the spotlight since he was like 14, 15. He's got so much pressure on him. He scored his first goal against the Bruins, and the TNT broadcast put the Gretzky goal record
immediately
against it. Yeah, they go Connor Bedard 1, Gretzky 867, whatever he's at.
That's tough.
He's always in the media.
That's crazy to get immediately compared to him.
It's insane, but that's how good this kid is projected to be.
Then, like, along with him, what would be like these big storylines or things to follow? Like, you got him coming to the league, getting compared to Wayne Gretzky.
There's a ton of storylines to follow. So the Bruins, they just had the best regular season of all time, the most wins, most points. That was the most fun season I had ever had watching hockey. It sucks. There's no money in the NHL for signings. So you saw all these studs who were hoping to get a big payday. They're finally a UFA. And the most any team could offer them was $1-2 million for a 1-year deal.
Wow.
There's no salary cap because of the COVID restraints from 2020. They're still trying to make revenue off that, but it's projected to go up $4.5 million next year, which is the biggest jump that I can remember. The salary cap's at 82.5 right now. It's supposed to go to 86 or 87 next year, and then even the year after potentially 90. So there's a lot of players on bargain deals right now. Just 1-year deals, just waiting for next year when hopefully the salary cap goes up.
Interesting. Kind of like the NBA recently, last few years, where they were like,
right, yeah. And in the Atlantic, which is the Bruins division, you've seen the same teams in the playoffs every year. You've got the Bruins, you've got the Maple Leafs, you've got the Lightning, you've got the Panthers. This year, I think you're going to see a bit of a change there.
Interesting.
There's been teams knocking at the door. You've got the Sabres, the Buffalo Sabres, the Detroit Red Wings, and the Ottawa Senators, and they've all been rebuilding for years. So they're all trying to make that push. You've seen a lot of talent regress from some of the top teams. Obviously, the Bruins lost a lot of talent last year just because of the cap restraints. Tampa Bay, they've taken a couple steps back. You know, they won 2 cups in a row. They went to a 3rd Stanley Cup final. With that success, people are going to get paid more. They're going to find other deals. And then the Maple Leafs. The Maple Leafs are definitely a team you have to follow this year. The Maple Leafs historically have not. They've been a great regular season team, but they always fan out in the playoffs. They actually just got past the first round last year for the first time in, I think, 30-something years.
Wow.
And they have one of the, I mean, their offense is so elite. Austin Matthews, a center for the Maple Leafs, scored back-to-back hat tricks opening night. So first and second game, back-to-back hat tricks.
No way.
Has only ever been done twice in NHL history.
Back-to-back in general or back-to-back in opening?
Back-to-back in opening. If there's a team I would recommend to, you know, kind of pique your interest in hockey or just, you know, you want to watch a fun game, watch the Maple Leafs. I hate them as a Bruins fan, but they are a fun team to watch. They have
a lot of goals,
so much offensive power, lots of goals. Bet the over.
I love goals.
Yeah.
Over. I love the over.
Yeah,
you wouldn't believe it from 2 unders this week. But I love the
overs.
Yeah,
and goals.
Overs in hockey are great.
Any sport, honestly.
And sweating out unders in hockey is awful.
So prediction: who do you think's going to win the Stanley Cup this year? If you had one shot, who do you think?
Or how about this? Give us 4 teams and give us what would make them win it and what would be the thing that keeps them from winning it, if that makes sense.
Okay, yeah. So first, the Toronto Maple Leafs. Their roster is the most stacked roster I've ever seen.
So in terms of like resources and potential, they've got to be like the heavy.
They are, They have the offensive power to put up 6-7 goals every single game.
Yeah.
Their Achilles heel is their defense and their goaltending is not great. I'll go 2 East and 2 West. Also in the East, in the Metro Division, which is the other division outside of the Atlantic, the New Jersey Devils. They've got this kid named Jack Hughes. Mm-hmm. This guy floats on the ice, I swear. This guy is such a stud. I would say he's the next up and coming Sidney Crosby.
Oh, wow.
Essentially.
If it wasn't for Bedard.
And they've built the team really well. They've got a couple first round picks in the last couple years. They got Nico Hischier, got Jack Hughes. Their Achilles heel, I guess, would be they're a very young team. Mm-hmm. They're not very old, so in the NHL, you kind of need veterans who have been there because, I mean, it's such a fast game.
Is it hard to like pick up a vet mid-season, or how's that work normally?
No, not really. I mean, it's just about finding the right vet. You know, you got to find players that have been there, who have lost in the Stanley Cup Finals, who have played in the playoffs.
They like fit what your team
right.
needs.
A fourth line player who can kind of muck it up a little bit. So yeah, I guess they made the playoffs last year for the first time in I think a couple years. They got to the second or third round.
So they got a stud, but they're young.
They got lots of studs, but they're young.
Lots of studs. So got one firepower, no defense, or less defense.
Right.
Another one studs, but young studs.
Right. Exactly.
All right. I like this.
Out west, I will say I'll go back to Vegas. Mm-hmm. I think Vegas, they probably have the best team down the middle, center-wise. They've got 4 great centers. They won the Stanley Cup last year. They've got Bruce Cassidy, former Bruins coach, who we let go, unfortunately. First year the Bruins let him go, he goes and wins the Stanley Cup. Funny how that works.
Jeez.
But he's a great coach. They got Jack Eichel from the Sabres a couple years ago. They got Mark Stone. They got a lot of vets. They got a lot of young players as well. They're built for the playoffs. I think I actually don't have anything to knock them for. I think they're a very solid team. Okay. They won the Stanley Cup last year on their 3rd or 4th string goalie.
Wow.
So if that says anything, going back out west, I would have to go with Colorado.
Okay.
The Colorado Avalanche. They won the Cup 2 years ago. They've got Cale Makar on the back end, probably the best defenseman in the league, in my opinion, maybe beside Victor Hedman with Tampa Bay. But they're built to win Stanley Cup. They got Nathan McKinnon. They got all the talent around them. Those would be my 4 teams.
Sweet.
Their weakness, I guess, playing Vegas. They're going to have to match up against them eventually. One of the teams is going to have to lose. You know, it's tough out there. Out west, there's those 3 giants. There's Edmonton Oilers, Colorado Avalanche, and then there's the Las Vegas Golden Knights. I think any one of those three teams could win the Stanley Cup. Unfortunately, they're going to have to play each other at some point.
Man,
only one can go on. So
only one. I'm in. I'm wanting to watch. What is the thing that you're going to leave our listeners and myself and Christian that's going to get us fired up?
Fired up,
absolutely.
Action?
What do we need to know?
My thing, I mean, I'm watching the NHL every day. There's games every day. There's multiple games every day. You can pick the best game that's on. There's a superstar in every single team. Just throw the game on if you're not doing anything. Just sit down and watch it. It's a fast-paced game. It's not like football where you got a play and then you stop, a play and then you stop.
Right.
It's just
That's
it's
what
continuous movement.
Yeah.
You see fights. There's I actually think so. A couple like 2-3 decades ago, it was maybe even a decade ago, there were a lot of bigger players. Like I said, you saw a lot more fighting. I think the NHL might be trying to weed out fighting a little bit.
Boo.
But I know. I think it's making a comeback this year. I think fighting is going to be at an all-time high this year.
Oh.
You have seen teams not build, but you've seen a lot of cup contending teams go out and pick up an enforcer specifically for playoffs.
That's so sick.
Because
that is sick.
You saw the Bruins had the best regular season of all time. I had so much confidence in that team. We were up 3-1 against the Panthers.
Oh, that's right.
And we got absolutely bullied by them.
Yeah.
And the thing I love about this Bruins team, I'm not as high on them as I have been in previous years. But we've injected a lot of youth in our lineup because we have to. We have to get some of these new players in just because of the salary cap. But we also picked up like 4 great signings for league minimum, like I said, who are all over 6'2". They're big guys. They're kind of taking the Panthers approach. We're 2-0.
You can make a playoff run. Right?
We could make a playoff run. We could pull the Panthers like last year.
Exactly.
We could go on a deep run.
Play some good defense.
Maybe we make the Stanley Cup Finals. The 2011 Bruins, they won the Stanley Cup. They're labeled the Big Bad Bruins because they just bullied everybody.
Yeah.
They won the cup.
Man.
I love that about hockey.
I mean, the NHL, it's my favorite sport. I love watching it. It's a lot of fun. You see big hits, lots of fighting.
Do you
Hopefully
think
lots of goals? Goals are also at an all-time high.
Goals are awesome. An NHL goal, it's so
and
sick.
they're at an all-time high. Everybody's scoring now. So
fighting and goals, what more you want?
Yeah, I got to start watching more hockey. Well, now that I'm fired up, let's do some single game accomplishments here.
Yeah.
Because
fun little draft.
As someone who has hit 7 bombs in a game, right? 7 dingers. As someone
in his life?
Yeah. No, not even in my life. I don't think I've been. I hit a couple in Little League, but I don't know if that counts. But the most fun single game accomplishments could be any sports. I mean,
it could be
NHL,
the best, but also the ones that are they get you fired up.
NFL, MLB, you name it. Coming in first, Scott's on the pod. And as we do with guests on the pod, they get the first overall pick.
And then I take pick number 2 because it's an even episode.
Yeah,
and then you're coming in 3.
Awesome. Well, I'm fired up for that because I wasn't sure if either of you had this on your list. As a Boston fan, I had to have it on there. So number 1, I'm going with the goalie goal.
Oh, dude. I wanted that number 1.
Yeah,
it's only happened a couple times in history, most recently from the Bruins goalie, Linus Ullmark, last year.
In hockey or soccer, it's so fun too.
It's so sick.
It's crazy because you would think it happens more. Teams are always pulling their goalie, but you have to clear it over everybody. And then on top of that, you have to be accurate with it. It's got to have enough speed.
And the word that we're saying is fun, and like what's more fun than a goalie scoring a goal? Like that's cool.
Yeah, that gets the crowd going, even if it's against your team.
All right,
I'll pick 2. I'm gonna do a perfect game. Same thing with like the crowd. 2 things I love about it. Idiot. 2 things I love about it. One, like the anticipation that's building throughout the game as people are like,
keep
all
talking.
Right, now we can't talk about it. Like act normal, keep going. And then the fact that it takes your whole team rallying around you, and like almost every perfect game, there are these diving catches that are coming in late where like the rest of the team stepping up. Like that's cool to me.
Yeah. I'm going to go with, I got to go to my roots. Hole in one. I think a hole-in-one has got to be from a single golf game, one of the coolest things.
Make it a hole-in-one on a par 4 too. There's only been one PGA golfer I think who's ever done that on tour.
Dude, it happens though. I've heard of a couple people doing it.
Well, I think people have done it, but like in a tour event, I think there's only been one person do it.
Wow.
But either way,
that's
I had
a great pick.
Yeah.
Like electric. Again, it's not like the most rare one,
Right.
but I mean,
But it's very
electric.
rare, though.
That's a great pick. Number 2, I am going to go with a penalty shot or a shootout game-winning goal.
Ooh.
And going back to hockey, like I said, is my bread and butter. You've got the entire stadium. The eyes are on you. Your teammates' eyes are on you. Everybody's eyes are on you. You hit a couple quick deeks.
Oof.
Ooh.
And
deeks.
I'm sure you guys have seen penalty shots.
Oh, yeah.
But
Yeah.
They're electric.
They're awesome.
That's so cool.
Yeah.
I'm gonna go with a 100-point game in basketball.
Ooh.
Okay.
It's a little bit less. I almost didn't do it because it's like so rare. Obviously, like once, but it's like triple digits. Like, just imagine that would be the most fun day of your life if you're just draining back like buckets left and right.
That's fair.
Like, yeah, just imagine yourself doing it. It'd be hard to do or have more fun than that.
Yeah. So number 2, I kind of wanted to go cycle, but I'm not. I'm just going to go 4 yayas. 4 bombs in a baseball game. It's only been done a few times. And just to step up 4 consecutive at bats. Bomb. Bomb. I mean, just like that's got to be so
When was the last time
fun.
that was done?
It's a great question. I think it was
4
a few years
bombs in
ago.
Do you remember who?
I don't remember who.
I mean, closest I've ever dreamed of was 3 bombs in a softball game, and I felt like I was on top of the world in men's church league slow pitch softball. I can't imagine in the show that happened.
There's
pretty cool,
18 players who have hit 4 home runs in a game in MLB history.
Yeah,
The
I agree.
last-
Cycle's fun, but 4 home runs.
J.D. Martinez with
Ooh,
the
my boy.
Diamondbacks.
Oh,
2017.
Dang.
wow. Shout
Yep.
out JD.
That was the last one.
Man. Side note on them, I was just listening to a clip. It was like from end of September of him and Mookie Betts talking about Acuna. And when he hit the 121 mile an hour home run, they're like, we looked up and we're like, that's a mistake, right? And then, like we went and looked at the iPad and it was like, nope, it says 121.
That's crazy.
And my last and final pick, I'm going to go with a no-hitter.
Oh, yeah, no hitter.
Stick to baseball.
Another baseball one coming in here for 3 for me, the unassisted triple play.
I almost did that one. I'm going to end this one because we talked about hockey for the first time,
Yeah.
right? Arguably in our pod's history. I think a hat trick in hockey is one of the most exciting things. And I want to come to you guys.
Even more than soccer?
Even more than soccer.
Wow.
And I want to come to you guys with a little trivia here. What's the fastest hat trick in NHL history?
Oh, wow.
The fastest one. It is 21 seconds.
No.
3 goals.
Is this like
NHL?
Are we talking Little League hockey here?
That's not the NHL.
NHL fastest.
It's got to be 1905. Goalies wore nothing.
Like, that'll probably never be broken.
Having a hat trick in the NHL isn't are insane as is.
Do it in like 30
Doing
minutes.
it
That's
in
fun.
less than half a minute
Yeah.
is incredible.
I couldn't even skate across the ice. in
21
21
seconds. I can't even. His name was Bill Mosienko. I don't know.
Is he in the Guinness
Chicago.
book?
He is. Chicago Blackhawks against
Wow.
the New York Rangers.
Okay.
March
Wow.
23rd, 1952.
Wow.
That's crazy.
Wonder if they threw the hats back then.
They had to. That's
Had
when they
to.
started it.
It's pretty electric.
They were shocked. They just like flabbergasted.
People started throwing
Take
up.
my stuff. Take it.
Yeah. You just like vomit everywhere.
The
People-
wind from the speed that he was going back and forth just blew their hats
Yeah.
off. A couple other fun ones though. 250-yard rushing game.
Ooh.
That's a good one.
Yeah.
And then a quadruple double.
Yeah, by David Robinson.
Like, yeah, it's even, I mean, obviously it's cooler than a triple double, but
I almost did bicycle kick goal.
I almost did bend it like
that's
Beckham.
cool.
Yeah.
that's sick.
Yeah, the Beckham. I watched the documentary. That was sexy. Bend it like
I've started
Beckham.
it because of, I've only heard good things about it.
Yeah. Well, episode 42.
In the
Scott,
books.
thank you for joining.
Yeah, thank you for
Another
having me.
one.
I can't wait to watch some hockey.
Oh, me either. I'm
Get
going
in
to
there,
go right
boys.
now and
It's
watch
heating up.
NHL's greatest
It's heating up.
highlights.
It's going on right
Channel's
now.
greatest.
Yeah.
Peace.
Yeah.